actually happened. So let's just double check things in the commentary box. Bear with us for one moment, ladies and gentlemen. We will be with you in just a few moments' time. But P1 Sim Gear, they have done an incredible job for us, making sure there's been prizes, making sure there's been things happening in and around the stream all the way through 2023 and 2024. Absolute legends they have been for us all the way through the years, and we hope that this partnership will continue onward into the future. For those of you who are just tuning in right now, of course you are watching round 10 of the GT3 Championship. This is the critical round for them today, Andrew Scott. And of course, it is Spa-Francorchamps, which is a wonderful, wonderful place to go racing. It is round 10, circuit to Spa-Francorchamps. Length of a race today for Group A and Group B is going to be 50 minutes, time of day, afternoon. Racing softs are mandatory for this race and tuning prohibited as always, but the brake bias is allowed to be modified. Let's talk Spa, Andrew Scott. This is a great track. Some hate it, some love it. I think it's one of the best circuits in the world, and there are some tricky areas at this place.
Yeah, it's an epic track. It's a long track, guys, so the weather and the wind changes throughout the track, and yeah, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it myself personally, but yeah, it's the kind of track where you really have to be in a rhythm around here, don't you, to get the most out of it. And yeah, the track favours the straight line beast. Obviously, the big long run up through Eau Rouge, Radion, and the Kemmel Straight. So the big grunty cars will have an advantage there. But it'll be interesting to see whether the soft tyres, the go-to tyre today. Of course, it's mandatory. And that old adage that we've gotten used to now, that the mediums are the new soft. You might have the guys running long, even multiple stints on the medium today. So that'll be very cool to see how strategy plays out.
Certainly will. And of course, 15-minute race, soft tyres may not last more than 10 or 15 minutes. We're usually wrong on that. We usually see the drivers figure out something pretty special. So we will see if there's any particular strategy that is executed today that is the favorite. I don't know if we've had any news from the regular insights from our supercomputer. Well, not ours, but a certain team's supercomputer. But certainly the racing mediums are going to be the tyre of choice here today, and they'll be wanting to switch onto those at the right time, get the fuel in the car, go long on the mediums, and run towards the end of the race. Going to be absolutely critical for them today. Really, really will be. Now, of course, the weather slide and weather reporting today, it is S09. And that is going to be nice and sunny, which does help. No rain at Spa definitely makes for a much easier drive at this circuit, Andrew Scott. But of course, tyre wear does start to play a factor. So you're going to have to be absolutely on point. There's no weather to come in there and save you today.
Yeah, as always with the new tyre model, it's going to be crucial to look after them, but still be fast. So that's the trick, isn't it? To stay fast and also look after the tyres. And we'll see who masters that and comes out on top.
We certainly will. Let's have a little look now. We're going to go through the standings as they are right now. We've got Group A and Group B coverage coming up for you today. So let's take a little look at the current team standings. And we were talking about this last time, of course, at round 9 at Barcelona, Catalunya. Hasselone Motorsport are champions now, and we do know that from Catalunya, so you can see there on the team standings, 1,385 points. They have secured it, and that is going to be essentially going to be it for the championship. I do also know that Hasselone Motorsport have designed some new liveries, so they've actually splashed out. The remaining budget has gone not to tyres, but to a nice gold wrap on their livery, Ando.
Yeah, and they've probably spent a bit of money on champions, baseball caps and all that sort of stuff too, haven't they? So good on them. It's their right to be crowned with one round remaining. So a fantastic effort from those guys. And Hooncorp and Gridline Racing still maybe battling it out for that D2 on the podium.
That's right. Of course, Gridline Racing in third place, a little bit far away from it at the moment, and this has been the real struggle, especially at round 9. Gridline just weren't able to get the result that they needed. And while Hooncorp's results weren't brilliant at Catalunya, it was enough to sort of escalate them through up into that second spot and really put themselves in the earshot, really, of securing that second place. So this will have to be a really, really mighty drive today by all of the Gridline Racing boys to get themselves up into that second place. Then we've got Asta Racing in P4, 882 points. They're in the battle to keep that position and keep it from Black Rose Racing, who are on 784 points. And this is really where the battle is at the moment, Andrew, between Black Rose Racing and CP Motorsports and Lightning Motorsports. Those three teams are only separated by 4 points at the moment.
Yeah, so that's mighty close. So this is anyone's race for a top 5 spot on the team's championship, and of course that means extra sponsor dollars next year, doesn't it? For whoever can come out on top in that battle.
Certainly right. And then last place, last but not least, Diffusion Race Engineering do round up on 710 points. And that is a really, really tricky race that they've had the entire season. It's just not gone their way as much as they'd like. A few sporadic good results. But yeah, we'll be keeping especially a close eye on the battle for P2 and 3 and the battle for P5, 6 and 7. Right, Andrew, let's talk elite standings because there is some craziness going on in here. Matt Donetti is leading by 3 points over Lewis Atkinson, and Gopi Mahidajit is a little bit out of it right now, and he'd have to have Donetti and Atkinson both have a terrible result here today. But that battle for P1 and P2 in the elite standings is absolutely fire right now.
Yeah, it's anyone's championship. It's up for grabs, isn't it? So this should be a ding-dong battle between those two in this final round. And Gopi, I think, might be a mathematical chance, so we can't discount him. But yeah, we'll look to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, we certainly will. And then, of course, looking further down the field, Nick Pfaff in a battle at the moment for P4. 4 points between them. Nathan Wakefield right there. Black Rose Racing in P5. Then it's Campbell Knowles, Downwood, and Chris Duncan. Sort of our almost wildcard entries now with the elite standings. They've not got anything to really fight for at the moment, but a good result here would definitely be a nice way to sign off their race, especially at Spa.
Yeah, you want to finish off the season on a high note, don't you? And of course, that puts you in good standing with the admin at MotorMotion as well. And it all goes towards your overall driver rating. And come silly season, the next season, that could be a factor in what seats guys get with what teams.
That's exactly right. So as we build up towards Group A coverage, we've got the qualifying results in, but first let's talk Pro, because Mick Hill here is in the box seat. He hasn't technically won it just yet. If he manages to finish last place or DNF, then he will give that win to Glenn Mead, assuming Glenn Mead gets up into the top 5. And so that's going to be a real critical one for Glenn Mead at the moment for Gridline Racing, a man who needs a good result here for Gridline Racing, help in that team's championship standing. Then Jeremy Crow, Black Rose Racing, Luke Stone and P4. No massive battles between those guys. The next battle really is P4, P5. Matt McCullum, who has been on a bit of a charge back this last few races.
Yeah, he's had some good results, hasn't he? He's been definitely the man in form and been challenging the guys up there in the top 3. So really good season for Matt, and let's hope he finishes it off with a strong one.
Yeah, and of course critical for CP Motorsports as well. They need the championship points to put them up into that top 5 position, which will be a nice way to round out what has been a rather disappointing well, the majority of the season for CP Motorsports has been rather disappointing from a results perspective. So they are looking for a win late on in the season in round 10. Now let's look at our qualifying results, because the qualifying results are in for Group A, and we'll be shortly going to the Group A coverage. And it is Gopi Mahindajit who puts his Diffusion Race Engineering Mercedes on the top spot in P1, followed critically by Lewis Atkinson ahead of Matt Donetti. Andrew, this is absolutely critical for the championship battle here, because Lewis is in P2, 3 points ahead, 3 points behind Matt Donetti in the championship standings. So this is going to be a real slog at the final round today.
Yeah, the start of the race is going to be very interesting. Lewis is probably in the best spot to be there. He'll sit there behind Gopi and enjoy his draft at the start. But Matt Donetti is right there as well. He might have Lewis right where he wants him, to be honest. And it'll be a very, very crucial decision to be made on which tyre they start on as well. So it's all up for grabs there. And Matt Donetti, he's been really good at keeping up and sometimes holding off soft runners behind him while starting on mediums, hasn't he? So he might try that again today.
He might well. And then Nick Pfaff in P4 just behind them to round out the second row of the grid, followed by Mick Hill for Hasselone Motorsport. He'll be rocking a special livery today. We'll see that soon. Then Campbell Knowles, the elite driver, is sitting behind him. And this is actually critical for Mick Hill. He can get a few extra points just to solidify that P1 spot. But that is the qualifying that Mick Hill has required for this. And crucially, Glenn Mead, not in the top 7, Ando.
Yeah, so advantage Mick Hill there for this one. He's had a cracker of a season, Mick. He's probably a legitimate elite level driver, to be honest, these days. So he's in the box seat now, and Brucey's going to have to bring out something special out of the bag. Maybe one of his novel strategy choices might see him leapfrog Mick in the pits or something, and he might steal the championship away.
Exactly right, and it will take a mistake from Mick Hill, a man who is not prone to making those mistakes. We shall see. Drew Griffin, P2 for Pro category, 7th overall. Great qualifying for him. That is his best qualifying of the season so far. And Drew Griffin has been going from better to better to better results in both qualifying and in the race. And this is just showing that he has really developed as a driver throughout the entire season. Looking further down the field behind him on the rounding out the fourth row of the grid, Nathan Wakefield for Black Rose Racing. Then Matt McCullum, Glenn Mead, critically in 4th place for the Pro category. 5th place in the Pro category for Dean van der Zandt. Still really trying to find his feet, but he has potential for a great result here today. And then, of course, Jeremy Crow will be rounding out our grid with 4 DNSs today. So I'm fortunate to see such a small grid on the elite category, but nonetheless, it's going to be a good race out there regardless. So, Andrew, we are prepped for what should be a very, very interesting round here at Spa, a critical one for elite category. Any predictions?
Oh, look, I think maybe the Lamborghini will be pretty meta around here again. So if I was a betting man, I would be betting on Donetti to win this one.
I think that's a great call. And of course, if he does, that means he also secures the elite level championship. Gopi Mahindrajit will require both Lewis Atkinson and Donetti to have problems in this race and finish well down at the back of the grid or DNF. That's going to be a critical one for Gopi if he has any chance of winning the elite level category. And of course, for Lewis Atkinson, really just needs to finish ahead of Matt Donetti today. Doesn't need to beat Gopi Mahindrajit out there. A P2 will do. He just needs to be above Donetti on the grid, so maintaining position is going to be absolutely key. Okay, it is time to go racing in Group A. Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up, buckle in. We are ready to go, and Gopi Mahindrajit will lead us away for the final round of Group A. The elite and the pro drivers battle it out one last time here in the GT3 Championship Season 2. And away we go around the final bus stop chicane and up the main straight. The start line here is a little bit odd. We do use the timing line as the start line in Gran Turismo 7 instead of the 24-hour layout. And there's the green flag. We are racing now. Gopi Mahindrajit will lead us away down into La Source for the first time. And there's a little bit of action going on. Concertina effect happening at the back of the grid. They do unfortunately start behind the bus stop chicane. And then through to the source we go. Nice wide line there for Gopi Mahindrajit, using those tyres grip up a little bit early in this race. Lucas Atkinson didn't have the best of runs through that area. He is on the medium tyre as opposed to Gopi. He is on the soft tyre, and Donetti is already in striking distance of Lewis Atkinson. We'll get quite the tow as we head through Kemmel Straight, and that Lamborghini looking a little bit like a shark right now with Nick Pfaff just in tow behind them. Mick Hill looking solid from Campbell Knowles in P6. Unfortunately, we've had I think someone has had a bit of an issue. Drew Griffin has not had a good start to this race, and Matt McCullum is actually now up into P2 for Pro category. Lewis Atkinson does get through Liscombe just nicely at the moment. Still under a lot of pressure for Matt Donetti, who's obviously really keen to make a move early. Matt Donetti on the soft tyres, so there's a big tyre disadvantage for Lewis Atkinson early on in this race, and that might be critical to the overall result here. Medium tyres this early on and losing positions early on to Matt Donetti, who is the one in the lead of the championship, could be a bad decision. We still see how it plays out. However, if Lewis Atkinson is able to hold Matt Donetti on, in fact, every metre that he holds Matt Donetti behind him is going to be advantage when he heads to his soft stint, Ando.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like, Donetti's just straight into his work here. He's enjoying the slip behind Lewis quite comfortably, and Lewis is going to have to gap him here and catch back up to Gopi if he's going to have any chance in this race.
That's right, behind them Nick Pfaff just starting to fall off a little bit from the pace of the front runners. Then Mick Hill, and we do now get a chance to look at the Hassel One Motorsports livery for their team's championship, which is secured now. And look at that gold. I mean, that's a good looking car.
Yeah, first gold for first place. I like it. I really do like it. So, why not break out the bling for this final round as the incumbent champions?
Exactly. I'm sure they'll have a gold-plated champagne bottle as well for this round. We do know they had a very large one all set up at the end of Catalonia. Big celebrations at the Hasselblad garage throughout the entire night and the early morning as well. Mick Hill did just serve a 0.5-second penalty a few moments ago, and they got airborne with Nathan Wakefield right behind him under a lot of pressure. Back at the front, Matt Donetti is right on the back of Lewis Atkinson, but still no movement there from the number 51, not able to find a way to get around that Audi R8 at the minute. And Donetti has apparently been put on the wrong tyres at the start of this race. Racing softs was not what CP Motorsports had planned to do.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's Donetti on the softs and Lewis on the mediums. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
So roles are reversed here, and it may be a little bit of a boo-boo, but Donetti might still be able to make this work here as he moves to the right, to the inside to make the move at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Lewis squeezes him to the inside, but he still gets the job done, and around he goes. Now let's see if he can gap Lewis, catch back up to Gopi, and he might be able to make this, let's call it a strategy blunder from his team. He might be able to make it work.
Oh, and Lewis Atkinson nearly runs into the back of Matt Donetti. It was a braking zone that is very tricky as he head down the hill through Bruxelles. But Lewis Atkinson does manage to pull out of that nearly unfortunate move there. But as you say, Donetti's now got the challenge. He's got to get those tyres into a shape and use the clean air ahead of him to really pull the gap on Lewis Atkinson. It's critical. I mean, even one lap at Spa, we're looking at, 2-minute laps here at the very least. And, you've got to spend 2 minutes behind another person when they're on a medium tyre and you're on a soft tyre. That's 2 minutes and a bit lost on the grip of those tyres. Not a good situation. And really, for Matt Donetti, needs to be putting that car up into P1, or at the very least being on the back of Gopi Mahindra. Otherwise, he is going to find himself coming under a lot of attack from Lewis Atkinson later in this race when Lewis switches inevitably to those racing soft tyres, which are mandatory today.
Yeah, Donetti obviously is getting his softs out of the way, if you like. They could be the inferior race tyre here in that they're going to cross over with the mediums fairly soon. So you watch for Lewis to come back at Donetti towards the end of this stint as the mediums come into their own. And, this still could be a coin toss, George, because, Donetti's already getting those softs out of the way, basically.
That's right, yeah. I mean, he's going to have some pretty good laps on the medium tyre. We know how consistent Matt Donetti can be when he's familiar with the track. I mean, take a look at the last few races, and Donetti has been the one with the consistency, putting himself on the top spot and really looking after tyres. I'm looking at the tyre degradation already on these soft tyres, and it's not great even after 2 laps. So it does make me think they're probably only going to make it sort of 20 minutes into this race at most, which we were saying earlier, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. It looks like they could be extending from that just a little bit. But, where's the threshold? Where does it cross over? Where do the mediums suddenly become the preferable tyre? It's not far away from the point that we're at right now. And Matt Donetti has done well in the first sector of the third lap of this race. But it's got to do a lot more if he's going to catch up with Gopi. At the end of the day, though, Ando, he does not need to finish ahead of Gopi Mahindra. He just needs to focus on the battle with Lewis today.
No, that's right. So Gopi's checked out. He's done a 2-minute 16.2, which is absolutely flying. So I'd say Gopi's on the softs, and he might be in a good position here to win this round. But this is just an outright battle between Donetti and Lewis. The winner takes all, isn't it? And it's going to be riveting to see. It looks like this might pan out as a one-stopper for everyone. So it may well come down to an undercut situation. This race might be one in the pit stop.
That's right, yeah. Pit stops will be absolutely critical, and how much fuel can you save at a lap like this? It is tricky because you've got the Kemmel Straight, so all the cars are going to be absolutely on the rev limiter. That's going to consume a lot of fuel, so the cars that typically consume a lot more fuel are either going to be very slow on the straight, or they are going to be running very, very low on fuel throughout the stint. We have just heard as well, Drew Griffin was unfortunately sent to the pit lane by the game at the start of this race, so what was a fantastic qualifying from him, putting himself in P2 for the pro category, has unfortunately, through no fault of his own, put him all the way at the back of the field. That's why we saw that early shift, and that is just the worst luck that you could possibly imagine, not only for Astor Racing, who are in a little bit of a battle at the moment, trying to hold on to P4 in the team's championship, I believe, but also just for a little bit of pride here. I mean, Drew Griffin has been going and putting one foot in front of the other, improving all the way through the season, has his best result here in round 10, and for the game to say, no thanks, you're going to go to the pit lane with a little bit of a glitch at the beginning of round 10, that's a real shame, real sad way to have a race spoiled.
Yeah, I really sincerely hope that no PlayStations were damaged in the making of this race, George, because that's absolutely infuriating. And you know, there could have been a few things hurtled around the pit garage there for poor old Drew.
Yeah, certainly could be. Nick Pfaff still holding on to P4. Then we've got Nathan Wakefield for Black Rose Racing, sitting in P5, has made his way past Mick Hill, who's probably not going to be too worried about where he finishes in this race, as long as he finishes in the P1 spot for Pro category. He's completely fine with letting some elite drivers go on through. And of course, Nathan Wakefield, old Wakey, we know how quick that man is. You're not going to hold off a Mercedes on soft tyres for very long. And I do believe Mick Hill is actually on the medium tyres. Yes, he is. Just getting confirmation there as he touches the cone on the inside line of the first part of Les Coombe. Behind him, of course, his teammate Camel Knowles, also in the gold sparkling livery in the number 38. Both BMWs, of course, for Hasselone, have taken home the team's championship as of round 9, and now sporting quite the shiny livery for our viewing pleasure. Then it is Matt McCullum, elevated from P3 for Pro category up into P2, and behind him Glenn Mead, who has actually made a little bit of progress here at the moment. Anglo, he has found himself up ahead of Jeremy Crow, so that's good initial progress, but a bit of a distance there to Matt McCullum. And then of course he's still got to catch up with Mick Hill. That's a lot of work to do if Glenn Mead's got any hope of getting into first place. Even if he does, though, as we said before, Mick Hill would have to DNF in this race to lose the overall Pro category.
Yeah, and unfortunately they're in exactly the same hardware too, so Glenn Mead's out of luck. Unfortunately, if he was looking for any sort of manufacturer advantage in this round at this car and track combo, so he's going to have to get real lucky from here if he wants to steal it from Mick. But you know, I know Glenn, and he'd prefer to come second to Mick rather than Mick have some sort of unforeseen disconnect or something and lose it that way.
Absolutely, and I believe that'd be the same for everyone on the grid. No one wants to see any disconnects. That's why I'm so gutted for Drew Griffin, who was in a position to get a bunch of good points here today. He'd be right up there with Nathan Wakefield at the moment and Mick Hill in this battle, because we do know how quick that Lamborghini can be, especially at a circuit like this. Got good top end on the Lamborghini, good top speed, and pretty decent on the fuel saving as well if you look after it. Behind Jeremy Crow, it is Dean van der Zandt for Hooncorp Esports, and then of course Drew Griffin at the back of the field. But yeah, we haven't given really a lot of time on the screen to Gopi Mahindranjit. We are just coming up to the 10 minutes through a 50-minute race in a 2-minute 16.2, where he really has put the foot down. The tyres are not looking in great shape. Pretty standard stuff for the Mercedes, as we've come to sort of realize that it's just absolutely rubbish with its tyres. Nothing to do with the driving style. It's just the tyres seem to get burnt up simply by driving it on tarmac.
Yeah, they tend to over-temp the front tyres, and once that temperature gets to a certain point, the tyre wear runs away and it becomes a vicious cycle. But it doesn't look to be the case today for Gopi. I think he's managing his tyre temps quite well, because he's got even tyre wear front to back, left to right. So although they're showing quite a bit of wear, we are on lap 5 now, and he's just absolutely flying in that car. He's doing 2-minute 16s consistently, and he's got a good lead already. So I think he's in pretty good shape still.
Yeah, beautiful line there through Fargners and now through into turns 15, Stavilo, critical corner. You just see the body language of the car. Gopi Mahindranjit is a master of this circuit. Of course, his handled Prima GTR. Absolute legendary driver in the GT7 community, and he handles circuits like this, the really technical tracks, just so well. Didn't see as much of that, unfortunately, at the Nordschleife, where we thought that he would shine a little bit more than he did, but a few mistakes sort of started to spiral out of control for him, unfortunately, in that race. Not the case here today. He looks absolutely locked in.
Yeah, he's on fire. He looks to be in the groove, isn't it? Like, this could be one of his favourite tracks, because I haven't seen him put a foot out of line here. He's keeping that car connected. It looks so good through each corner. He's using all of the track, making all these apexes. And there he goes, at 2:17 there, though. So he's slowing down a little bit, but that's probably to be expected now with the softs nearly half worn. I'd say they're probably crossing over with the mediums right now.
I think you're absolutely right, and we see that Donetti has been doing low 17s. That last lap of 17.6. Let's take a look and see what Lewis is doing. He's still in the 18s at the moment, so medium tyres seem to be mostly capable of low 218s at the moment. So maybe this lap we see the crossover just towards the end. We'll keep an eye on the lap times as we go through, but you know, the medium tyres looking absolutely solid, and they'll be good for another 20 minutes easily at the rate that they're going right now. Whereas the soft tires, I think in a few laps, I mean, you might be able to keep it going for a while longer, but we're 12 minutes in already. The tire life is at least halfway through, and you don't really want to be driving them when they have absolutely no grip on them whatsoever, because Spa becomes a very dangerous place to do that, and you'll be doing 219s, 220s at a circuit like this, Ando, as you well know, a 7-kilometer circuit, 4.3 miles, 20 corners. It is one of those circuits where little things like that, like one lap where you do not have the grip, where you're making mistakes, and you've got to control the oversteer and understeer of the car, really starts to exacerbate the lap times quite quickly. It's not like Brands Hatch or the shorter circuits we've had throughout the season, where the tire life, you can run those tires right to the edge of grip, and you're only losing 0.5 a second on your best times sometimes when you get to that low grip situation. Here it can really exacerbate itself.
Yeah, as we saw there through Pouon, that's one section where on worn tires you really are leaking oil time-wise in the lap. And through here we go into Stavelot, get a good launch into Blanchimont. That's really hard to do when those softs are worn. So I think we might be looking at this lap or next, the mediums will cross over. If you have a look at Lewis's car, his mediums are looking absolutely fine. And they're normally not a whole second a lap slower than the softs. So I'd say with Lewis's lap times as they are showing there now, I think he might be doing a bit of fuel saving, George. I think he might be trying to save some fuel and therefore gain some time in the pit stop.
Yeah, we do know that Cooke Esports and Lewis specifically have run into problems with the soft tires before. I do recall Mount Fuji, where he had basically completely bowled tires towards the end of the race, and eventually it did cause a rear tire explosion, and he just couldn't drive the car at that point. So it just does make me wonder if they are just having a little that in the back of their minds, just keeping aware of it and making sure they don't make a mistake. In the meantime, Nathan Wakefield has come into the pits on 50% fuel to throw out those soft tires and move on to a different tire. So that is an early pit stop, but we did see his tire wear was pretty low for the most part for Nathan Wakefield. So I do wonder if Black Rose Racing are just maybe cooking the tires a little bit more, or maybe he's experienced uneven tire wear, as we saw on Matt Donetti's car, but critically not on Gopi Mahindran's tires for Diffusion Race Engineering.
Yeah, interesting. We're about a third of the way through the race, aren't we? Or not quite. So that pit stop on that lap might mean a two-stopper going softs all the way. So that might be one of the left field strategies being used today. And so we'll see how that pans out for him. But yeah, Gopi's going to try and go for as long as he can on these softs. And Lewis, I think, is just really trying to look after tyres and fuel at this stage, because he knows how bad the tyre wear is on the softs. So if he's going to one-stop it today, he's got to really go long on this medium stint.
Yeah, so it's a really conservative drive. We have actually seen throughout the season as Lewis Atkinson has started the season off very fast, very sendy, and not really thinking as much about the strategy. We've seen a few strategy blunders from him and Cooke this season, but towards the latter half of the season, they've really figured out this GT3 championship, and there is a massive element of conservation in this GT3 championship. In fact, you cannot get through a season and do well in it without eventually realizing that there will be times where you really just need to relax and take things, -1, technically.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially at a track like this one at Spa, where the pit stop's quite long. It's 25, maybe more seconds long. So, if the optimal strategy is indeed a one-stop, then those on a two-stop have to really be setting quality lap after quality lap to make up that 25, 26 seconds. And in some cases, it's still not possible. So if the one-stop is the clear strategy winner today, you've got to execute it well. And that's where, like you said, George, you've got to exercise a little bit of discipline. You've got to short shift the car. You've got to look after the tyre squeals. You've got to make those stints work so you're not leaking oil to the tune of 2 seconds a lap at the end of each stint.
Exactly, and speaking of which, we have reached the crossover point between the mediums and the softs. Matt Donetti now running in the 219s. A previous lap before that one was a 218.3. So for the soft runners now, it really is the last lap that they can do. Gopi Mahindran last lap was an 18.4, so he's been slowly creeping up towards the 219s as well. Lewis last lap, 18.8, not the fastest, but as we said before, he is in conservation mode, but you'll see he'll catch up by a couple of seconds, or just under a couple of seconds to Matt Donetti. I also want to point out that Nick Pfaff has been quietly sitting in the background, also doing the same, looking after his tires and fuel, and been putting in some great laps. 218.7, 218.2 on lap 6. So he's been sort of sneaking around, hovering in P4. A man that we know has a lot of pace, and the Porsche is actually quite good at this circuit. It's not actually a bad car, and great tire wear at the moment on his Astra Racing Porsche at the moment.
Yeah, it is a good car for this circuit. It doesn't have the outright lap pace, but on fuel and tyres, in a race like this where fuel and tyres are important, it does come into its own. So watch for him to set possibly another PB before this stint's out. Both himself and Lewis here, they're both looking to what we call reverse split this stint, which means they're actually going to be setting their quickest laps at the end of the stint. And Lewis there was very close to a personal best sector there. I saw, I think it was the end of sector 1 there at the end of the Camel Straight.
Yeah, so Lewis will have realized that he's starting to reel in Matt Donetti ahead, and so he's put the foot down and said, right, now's the time to strike, because I can regain all that time that I lost to fighting with Matt Donetti in the early laps, and then of course ending up in the dirty air for some time, and he can really start to reel in, and this neutralizes any real advantage that being on the softs early on in this race will come with, and that's going to make it really tricky for Matt Donetti. And I think right now, I mean, good conservation like this, he's really in a good spot, is Lewis Atkinson. It looks like Matt Donetti is actually going for another lap on tires that are almost gone, Andrew Scott. I really don't know if that's the right call from CP Motorsports.
Yeah, he's losing time here big time, but he does have track position. So roles are reversed here, just like at the start where we had Donetti caught behind Lewis on the faster tyre. Now we have Lewis caught behind Donetti on the faster tyre. And if Donetti can defend well and keep it clean and park it on every apex around this lap, he might cost Lewis a bit of time here in the undercuts on.
That's right, and that's going to be critical for Matt Donetti. He has to finish ahead of Lewis Atkinson. Likewise, Lewis Atkinson has to finish ahead of him. This is the battle for the Elite Championship. It all comes down to the final round here in the GT3 Championship, which you absolutely love to see these two having a real gentleman's battle at the moment. It's not one where they're, absolutely right on top of each other's rear diffusers all race long. This is going to come down to your mental capabilities throughout the race and managing the strategy, and that's a big moment for Matt Donetti through Bruxelles turn 10. The car got away from him, and you can see he's really in the wrong position with those tires. Lewis Atkinson making a huge amount of progress on him right now, and that Lamborghini is starting to kick its rear out, starting to be the bull in the cowboy ring at the moment, Andrew.
Yeah, but as they go through Pouon here, this is the second half of the lap where he might be able to hold Lewis up, pull into the pits, and perform the textbook undercut here on his championship rival, because it's not easy to pass here down Blanchimont, is it? So let's see what happens here. This could be critical.
Absolutely right. Through Stavelot, we've just gone, and now onto the Blanchimont straight. Lewis Atkinson was really, really close through there, and there's been a massive accident between the two of them. We haven't quite caught that on camera, but Matt Donetti has been tapped. He's been sent spinning around. Lewis Atkinson somehow has held on to that one. I think he might have gone for a move up the inside line there. Andrew, did you catch that on the replay?
Yeah, I couldn't see it. The camera angle just wasn't great, so we only cut to them after they'd made contact. So I really can't comment. This one might go to the stewards too, and we might have a championship here decided in the stewards room.
Wow, that will be probably not the place that we all expected it to go to, but that may well be where it ends up. Absolutely unbelievable. Matt Donetti and Lewis Atkinson, both fighting for the Elite Championship standings, have come together on track on the entry of turn 16. Matt Donetti has been sent spinning around. Lewis Atkinson ran wide on the left-hand side and was able to hold on to the car through there. Did have the tyre advantage, but I get the feeling that Donetti may have had a little bit of a slide there too. Didn't catch it on the cameras. We are being told by CP Motorsports that the tyres just gave out, and I think it might have been an unforced error there. Probably not even contact between the two. So this is massive for the championship regardless. Lewis Atkinson finds himself under pressure from Nick Pfaff, but no longer under pressure from Matt Donetti, who finds himself down, well down the order, of course, because he's jumped into the pits to switch out the softs. All of that hard work that he did do, all gone out the window, Ando, in a split second.
Yeah, I'd love to know exactly how much time it's cost him, but it could be of the order of 10 to 15 seconds. If it's only 10 seconds or so, don't discount him. He still could pull this one off because uh, we all know how good he is on the medium tyre in that car. And Lewis, on the other hand, on the soft tyre, he may struggle towards the end of the race. So this could be another grandstand finish, George. I'm excited.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely brilliant. Fascinating to see what is happening out on track. Really unlucky, of course, for Matt Dinetti. Is put him really in question for whether that holding on to P1 spot in the elite standings is going to be his at the end of this race. A critical moment in this championship. We will keep a very close eye on that. Oh, Nick Pfaff, big moment as he heads through turn 16, does recover the car, running in that dirty air, not comfortable at Spa-Francorchamps, as both you and me well know.
Yeah, Spa Driving 101 is the exit of Stavolo. Do not go onto the AstroTurf. So I think he just reminded himself of that rule just there with a little bit of a Co Brown moment.
Exactly right. Gopi Mahindra, our race leader, now finds himself in the pit lane. 19% of fuel on board, and he'll be switching those softs out for a medium tyre. 23 minutes through this race, coming up rapidly towards half distance. Gopi has actually made those soft tyres last really, really well through this race. We saw what happened to Matt Dinetti earlier on, and of course those tyres were not in good shape. Gopi Mahindra, however, running on the skin of the teeth of those tyres. He does switch them out. Plenty of fuel will go on board. Diffusion Race Engineering pit crew doing good work in there. Let's take a full look through the grid. Lewis Atkinson elevated up to the lead of this race provisionally. Still does need to do a stint on the mandatory soft tyre. Then it's Nick Pfaff on the same strategy, holding on with the Astor Racing Porsche just in behind. Then it's Mick Hill and Campbell Knowles, line astern, these two, both on the medium tyre. Same strategy, same livery, gold-plated for the team's championship that Hasselblad have brought home to their HQ this season. And of course, Matt McCullum in P5 on the medium tyre, still running along and actually doing very well on the tyres, not so well on the fuel. That'll become the critical element for him. Glenn Mead has found some really good pace through the first stint on the medium tyres, got plenty of fuel on board. And P6, then it's Jeremy Crow, P7, then Drew Griffin in P8. And we've heard from his team in Astor Racing saying really, really gutted for what's happened here, but looking forward to seeing what Drew Griffin will pull out for the remainder of the race and what bodes for this man in future, because they know he is a top caliber driver. He's done really, really well throughout the season, showing massive improvement, so we'll keep an eye on him. Then, of course, our former race leader, Gopi Mahindra, now out on those medium tyres, full tank of fuel for him, with Captain Snooze, Nathan Wakefield, the man with 1,000 names, in P10, followed by Matt Dinetti on the medium tyres. And I think, just looking at there, Andrew Scott, I think, yeah, you're right, 10 seconds lost there, probably easily for Matt Dinetti. Maybe a little bit less. It doesn't look like it's as bad as we maybe thought, but of course he had to, he's still got to have a lot of work here to do. And medium tyres, he's just got to run long to look after it for 25 minutes.
Yeah, he's going to have to just have the stint of his life, basically. He may have had to fix a bit of damage there. We don't know. We didn't see. So it really will be interesting once all the pit stops are done and dusted to see exactly how big that gap is and whether he's got any shot at breaking it down.
Exactly right. And then for Gopi Mahindra as well, just needs to be consistent in his driving now. He's got a few medium runners ahead of him, so he will have the pace on them, but it's not going to be the easiest thing to overtake at this point in the race until those medium runners come in for a pit stop, probably in about 10 minutes. How long do we think the mediums are going to last for those that started on the race? Probably till at least 35 minutes through this race, I'd imagine.
Yeah, because, the softs at best might last 17 or 18 minutes. So what's that? Maybe 7 or 8 laps, is it? Maybe 9. So, you really want to go long on the mediums, which these guys are doing. And Gopi here, who's now on the mediums again, is that right?
That is right.
So he's already done his soft stint, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. So he was one of those.
So he's done it. He stayed out quite a long time on those softs, didn't he? So he made them work really, really well. And he made them last a bit over 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah, that's right. And as did Matt Donetti, it was a few on the grid that took those softs all the way into, almost towards half race distance, which, to be completely honest with you, Andrew, I wouldn't expect a pair of softs to actually last that long. Once again, we're being proved wrong in the commentary box. We sort of predicted earlier on. Maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes for the softs at the absolute maximum. Turns out 25 minutes is, well, 23, I should say. 23 minutes is doable, but you're running, in the 219s on softs, which is much slower than the race pace of the mediums, even when they get to 50% wear. So that's uncomfortable, but it is doable, and it means that you've got more life in those medium tires, which, as we've said before, turns out to be overall, over the course of a race, the faster tire.
Yeah, that's 23 minutes on the softs is dangerously close to half race distance, isn't it? So you'd almost think about going soft, but obviously no one's trying that today, I don't think. So that just proves the point that the softs just drop off by too much at the end of their stint, and the mediums are the better choice these days.
Exactly right. And so Gopi Mahidajit's still got to make his way past Brew Griffin, has had a pretty good lap after that outlap. Looking pretty quick, but we'll be dealing with that dirty air in another place. Of course, that dirty air comes into effect, not just Stavelot and Blanchimont, but also, of course, through Radion and Eau Rouge, which is absolutely terrifying. When you get into that aero draft of the car ahead, you suddenly find yourself not able to pull the car into the direction that you wanted to go, either penalty territory or you're running wide, and that's a beautiful overtake by Gopi Mahidajit on Drew Griffin. Drew Griffin really had no ability to fight back there, ran a bit deep into the first part of the bus stop chicane. Is he going to try and fight back on the inside line? No, he cannot outbrake the Diffusion Race Engineering man of Gopi Mahidajit for the moment, and that means that Gopi Mahidajit will be the one to run in the clean air, and it'll be the Porsche that suffers the dirty aero wash ahead. In the meantime, Glenn Mead has caught up to the back of Matt McCullum, started using those racing medium tyres a lot, both of them really running on fumes at the moment, Andrew Scott, so would expect to see a pit stop by these two either this lap or the next lap. Probably for Matt McCullum this lap though, so 30 minutes or thereabout for the medium tyres, and then these guys are going to have to run a pretty long stint on the softs.
Yeah, but these pro guys on the mediums have really done an outstanding job, I think. So Bruce's tyres there are looking absolutely fine, and he'll obviously be able to go for a fair bit longer before he pits. So yeah, it's Mick Hill up there in third place, so out overall, he's doing a really good job on the mediums also.
Yeah, and we'll talk more about Mick Hill in a few moments' time, because he is on track to win pro category here today. Just like Lewis Atkinson seems to be at the moment on track to potentially take out Elite Championship after what we saw with Matt Donetti early on. Whether it was contact between the two or not, we're not 100% sure. We will see if we can find out the results of any Stewart's investigation, if there is any, as a result of that. But yeah, of course, Mick Hill doing a great job at the moment. Got airborne in there too, and so P3, P4 right now for Hassel 1, and they are set for another good result here, even though they don't really need it. In the Teams Championship, they've been cruising for the last couple of races since they really secured the Teams Championship in round 8. So, that's a dominant season. You're a man that's familiar with dominating a team's championship, Ando. What's the mentality, once you get into those last couple of races? You just do it for some fun? Do you try and avoid crashes? Do what's the mentality of a team going into a situation where you've wrapped up most of the important stuff?
Well, yeah, every team's different, I guess, but the main thing for us was let's finish the season off strongly, and we just weren't going to accept a poor performance at any stage of the season, regardless of the championship situation. So I'm sure that's the way Hassel 1's treating it today as well. They're putting in a great showing. They're going around in formation. It's almost like they're doing a bit of a Alan Moffat, Colin Bond thing at Bathurst, aren't they? The old 1-2. With the two matching cars going around together, so it looks good and good on them. They want a good result here. They can't just muck around, because they are wearing the bling, so they got to bring it today, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Luckily for them, there's no Le Mans situation going on like Ford. Those who haven't watched the Ford and Ferrari movie or done some research into that, Bruce McLaren getting a few extra points, and then of course winning the Le Mans. Over a particular driver whose name, for some reason, I can't recall right now. You might be able to remind me of that either in chat Speaking of chat, welcome into everyone who is watching live on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. We are coming to you live for the final round of this broadcast, so it's not delayed, it's not replayed, it's nothing like that. You are watching live, and a little bit of a battle out of the pits between Matt McCullum and Glenn Mead. Glenn Mead's tried down the inside line, but hasn't really made it stick in that case. Matt McCullum defending well. We know he's a staunch defender, especially when he's in a situation like this to get a good result for CP Motorsports. Quite important for them for the battle for P5 in the team standing. Glenn Mead, of course, critical for him to get a good result here today to help elevate gridline racing and maybe take away a P2 in the team standings from Hume Corp Esports. So he's going to be very eager to get himself past Matt McCullum. Ahead of them, of course, Mick Hill and Airborne coming out of the pits and still running line astern, as he said. And I don't want to call it showboating, but there's certainly something something of a spectacle happening between these guys. Gold liveries, running line astern, not too worried about where they finish in the race for the most part, except for Mick Hill just, executing a strategy to get himself onto the top spot in qualifying and executing the strategy in the race as well. And yeah, we haven't talked enough about Mick Hill. I think throughout the season he's had some fantastic results. Gone a little bit under the radar, as he tends to do when he executes a strategy well. And you'll know this, of course, having been his instructor for a couple of years, especially through the TCR. When Mick Hill executes a strategy, he's usually running often by himself, and you just go, well, he's just won the race. We saw him at the start. Oh, now it's the end of the race. Oh yeah, Mick Hill's won it.
Yeah, he's a very disciplined driver. He's very good at executing a strategy. He does his practice. He does everything well. He's a really good student. He sort of gelled well with me and my team. And what he does do in his own practice time is he runs custom races against the game's AI, and he just works out every single strategy option and makes sure that he chooses the right one. Whereas I get the supercomputer out and crunch numbers. He actually does empirical testing, where he goes out and he actually runs practice races on his own, and he comes up with the data to confirm what the supercomputer says. So we really work well as a combo in TCR, and it looks like he's found a really great home here for at Hassel 1 as well, because his results speak volumes, don't they?
They certainly do, and yeah, having that element that Mick Hill brings to a team, absolutely critical to the success overall. If he's bringing that empirical data, it's all good having ideas, but until you really go out and test how that strategy is gonna work and what the little niggles are, because there always are little niggles. You might have figured out, oh, we can run 10 laps on the softs, but by that 10th lap, you're suddenly bleeding a lot more time. The car's suddenly really unstable, for example, just as an example. So going out there and saying, well, actually, I think we need a pit on lap 9 and just save a bit of fuel and tires as we go into the second stint. So little things like that, that's what Mick Hill can bring to a team. And I'm sure he's done that. I mean, what a lineup for Hassel 1 Motorsport. They've got a very strong lineup this season. They've had the car that's performed, I would probably argue, the best across all the different circuits we've had. Not always been the best car at all circuits, but it's certainly been very, very strong at all the circuits here, the BMW. So that's obviously fed into it. The practice, the strategizing, all comes into play. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's all come together for Hassel 1 this season. Season 2 has really been the season of Hassel 1. A little bit of irony in the numbers there. But speaking of things that have been going maybe not so well, which is a slightly different topic than what we've been talking about with Hassel 1 Motorsports, CP Motorsports. Not the season to remember, unfortunately. Not the results that they were hoping for. It's a big hitters team. Chase Persh, of course, the team owner for CP Motorsports, does expect a lot from his drivers. They've had a lot of churn, especially in the Pro-Am and Am categories. A lot of different drivers making debuts. The real consistent note has been Matt Donetti, and the fact that he's in the box seat for an Elite Championship, again, shows how Matt Donetti has developed. You've raced against him. You've seen how quick he can be, how consistent he can be, and how much he's improved over the years of racing here at MotorMotion.
Yeah, he's still a relatively new comer to us here, and he's branched out. He's racing in other leagues and such now, but he's a relatively new driver to league racing. So, the fact that he burst onto the scene with such incredible pace, he took it to me there in a TCR championship that we completed earlier this year, I think it was, or maybe late last year. He was my number one contender, and he was brand new to the pastime. So It's only natural that he got faster and faster, and now I'd be lucky to keep up with him, to be honest. He really is starting to shine, and I think he'll get better still.
That's right, yeah, and we do know that Matt Donetti is not... this is not his favorite car, let's just put it that way. We did have, of course, a sort of lottery raffle thing to select the cars for the teams. They got to sort of choice 1, 2, 3, I believe. We'll have Jeff Bruin on the show a little bit later on to explain to us exactly how all of this panned out. But the Lamborghini, apparently not Matt Donetti's favorite, unfortunately for him. Have had a little bit of an overtake here. Nathan Wakefield has lost the position to Nick Pfaff. Of course, still has to do that pit stop. Pfaff did come in for a... No, he has come in for a pit stop. Jumped onto those racing soft, as has Lewis Atkinson, who's making some progress on Gopi Mahindajit. But we'll check in with the top 2 in a few moments' time. For now, Nick Pfaff continuing his run of good form, making his way past Nathan Wakefield, who will probably be in about 3 minutes' time, so maybe 1 or 2 more laps remaining for Nathan Wakefield. Yet another name that we haven't really talked enough about this season. So many good drivers, so many good stories throughout the entire season, and this is really, I think, what makes the GT3 Championship very, very special. You have storylines that evolve throughout the entire 16-car grid, and that is something special. That's something that not all race formats bring. And I think it's just a testament to what Jeff and the MotorMotion admin team have done in the background to get this championship up and running.
Yeah, whatever they've come up with, it's obviously struck a note, because we've got some teams here that are well established now, and some drivers as well that have been around for a while. And old mate, is one of them. And that's a real litmus test for a league. If you've got those core teams and drivers that hang around long term, then you know you're doing something right.
Exactly. Black Rose Racing have been around since the early days in MotorMotion, as I understand it. Gone through a few ups and downs themselves for Black Rose Racing, but it is a name that is becoming synonymous with racing in MotorMotion. They are a popular name. They're a team that does very, very well. Got a very good culture in the team as well, from what I've heard. And unfortunately, the Mercedes hasn't maybe gelled with them so much this season. But that is just the nature of GT3 racing. Sometimes you get a car that you're really enthusiastic about. Sometimes you do not. And that's what you have to adjust to. That's part of the driving, whether it's driving style or race strategy and planning. That's just something you have to adjust to. Astor Racing, of course, another, formerly Scarborough Motorsport. Dylan Scarborough, one of the admins at MotorMotion, leading his team to many victories throughout the years. Not as many successes of late. I believe they were the team's champion for season 1, so not the season 2 that they would have really hoped for, I think.
No, but there's ups and downs, I guess, for any motor racing team, and I'm sure these guys will bounce back. Time will tell what they do in the off season, whether they try some new drivers or stick with the incumbents, and I'm sure they'll be back better than ever.
Absolutely right, yeah, and especially with the rebrand, Astor Racing now, of course, in the Porsches this season. Plenty to talk about, of course, about 2025, and we will be having Jeff Bruin in to talk us through what is going to be happening next year. Lots to announce on that later in the show. Make sure you stick around as well, because we do have our championship ceremony happening after Group B, so we're watching Group A at the moment. Group B coverage will be coming shortly after Group A. And once we get through that, we will be announcing all of the official winners for all the categories and the team championship, with a little ceremony and some interviews with the drivers and team owner who do take home the trophies. So do look forward to that, and please stay tuned on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. Get yourself tucked in, because we've got a big night tonight. Lots to go through, and especially towards the end when we go through the ceremony and talk to our administrator, Jeff Bruin. He'll be talking to us about 2025 and giving us a little bit of a digest on how he's felt 2024 has gone. Of course, also, while we're at it, housekeeping items. Give us a like and a subscribe here on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. Really does help us to understand exactly how much you are all enjoying the broadcast. Hopefully you are indeed enjoying the broadcast and the commentary. It's always a pleasure to bring the coverage of these amazing races and series from MotorMotion throughout the year. That will be continuing through 2025 as well. Go and also check us out on www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com for all your registrations, sign up, news and articles, and get involved in the Discord. We are slowly but surely shifting some of our operations to Discord, and if you need to find information, Discord is the place to go and find it, whether it's for the GT3, the TCR Cup, or the Carrera Cup series. All the information is going to live in there, and that is also where we're holding our interviews, so definitely worth getting involved in that. Might find yourself with a chance to be on the broadcast talking to us here in the commentary booth. Let's focus back on the race. Andrew Scott, Glenn Mead is sitting now behind Jeremy Crow, and those racing soft tyres looking really, really bad. We have 8 minutes left in this race. What are we seeing? I mean, this battle for, I think this is P9, yes it is, between Glenn Mead and Birdman, Jeremy Crow, has slightly fallen away from Glenn Mead, and Matt McCullum has held on strong to P7.
Yeah, Brucey not having as good a time on the softs by the looks of it than he did on the mediums. So he's having to manage them quite a bit by the looks of it. And he's just, planning the end of the race. He knows how long he's got to go. He knows how much tyre he's got to have left at the end. So don't discount him out yet. He might come back and gain a couple of spots between now and the end of the race.
Exactly, yeah, and Glenn Mead trying there the switch back through the bus stop chicane. The 999 car not able to execute that properly yet against Jeremy Crow, but he's going to have a really good slipstream run through Rayon Eau Rouge and up the Kemmel Straight. So this could be the opportunity for Glenn Mead to slingshot himself past Jeremy Crow. Gridline Racing, I don't think this is going to be their season, unfortunately. They may have to settle for a P3 in the team's championship. Hasn't fallen their way. Cooke have got Lewis Atkinson. He's still out in P2 at the moment, and it really does look like the pendulum has swung the way of Hooncorp Esports, at least in Group A. We'll obviously keep a close eye on that. We'll have the final standings for all the categories and the teams for you after both Group A and B. So we'll be taking a short break after Group A, moving rapidly into Group B, and then getting to our championship ceremony where we get to talk to all of our drivers. For looking up ahead, Matt Zanetti on the medium tyres, and yeah, he has really made no progress on P5, P6. That's the Hassel 1 chaps. Nick Pfaff is in P3 right now, Lewis Atkinson in P2, and Gopi Mihidajit is leading Andrew. So unfortunately for Matt Zanetti, with 6 minutes to go, unless some chaos, and I mean serious chaos, happens above him, sadly, I think this is all she wrote for his championship season in the elite category. And what a shame that is, because I was really, really hoping with such a small points difference, we'd see this come down to a photo finish at the end, but doesn't look like it's going to be that way today.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to pan out that way. And yeah, really unlucky for Matt. It looks like, where he's just gone through there through Stablo, he has had a bit of an unforced error there on the worn soft tyres. And I think I'm hearing comments that, yeah, it was just an unforced error. There was no need for that one to go to the principal's office. So he's just going to have to grin and bear it and put it down as a learning experience, I guess.
That's right, but he should still be incredibly proud of the season. I mean, to be finishing ahead, and he will finish ahead of Gopi Mihidajit in the team standings based on this. He's actually coming into the pits. Looks like he's going to try and take a fastest lap maybe at the end of this race, 5-minute stint at the end. No reason why he can't, because he will, even if he's finishing down the bottom of the grid, I believe, he will still get the points over Gopi Mihidajit for P2 in the elite category. So nothing to scoff at, finishing ahead of a driver and all the drivers in the elite category. I mean, it is such a fiercely competitive category, the elite standings, and to finish P2 is absolutely something to be proud of. So Matt Zanetti will need to hold his chin high on this one, because he's done incredibly well throughout the season. Lots to learn. He's still evolving as a driver, so that means his potential is right up there. And speaking of potential, well, Lewis Atkinson has really pulled a number today. I mean, what happened in Stavelot and coming on to Blanchimont Straight, as we've just learned there, no stewards investigation required for that at all. That means that Lewis Atkinson is now officially in the box seat to win the elite standings, and that's absolutely massive. Well, we saw this man sending the strategy, cooking his tires, doing what we would almost say is almost everything wrong. But we had 7 unique winners throughout the elite throughout Group A. He is one of them. He has won a race. He won't be winning today by the looks of it, unless Gopi has a problem, or unless he can find a way to catch up to the rear end of Gopi Mihidajit, but given this tyre state, probably unlikely. But Lewis Atkinson, I mean, it's hard to really quantify it in a way. It's sort of like it's sort of like winning the championship without winning a race, Andrew.
Yeah, it's just proven that you know, consistency and driving with a bit of smarts is actually what this championship requires, as opposed to all-out sprint racing. So I know it doesn't come naturally to Lewis, but he's been able to adapt, and he's been able to control his aggression to the point where he's actually become a really good racer in this format of the game. So his results have been outstanding. He's been top 3 nearly every time he goes racing. So you know, that's what needs to be done to win a championship at this level.
That's exactly right. And of course, Cooke Esports, it's their first year here with MotorMotion E-Series, and they are a big name in sim racing and also in real life racing throughout New Zealand and a little bit of Australia as well. And Lewis Atkinson has been championing that team for a long time. Nathan Howe, the team owner, someone I know very, very well. You know, we've had plenty of conversations about Cooke and what the sort of culture is there, and a lot of the culture at Cooke is go fast, send it, and make things work. And I think Lewis Atkinson has started to really develop some more strategic thinking throughout the team, certainly with regards to their MotorMotion E-Series championship hopes. And they're going to finish P2 in the overall team standings as well. So that's absolutely fantastic work by them. Lewis Atkinson actually realizing he's probably seen himself on the big screen at least once. They realize we're talking about him already. But yes, Lewis Atkinson can be a bit of a showboater sometimes, but I think in most cases it's quite well deserved, because as we know, he is a very quick driver. He's right up there with the top categories of drivers in MotorMotion. And, you know, it'll be a well-deserved victory at the end of the day.
Yeah, he is elite level in every nature of that word, isn't he? He's proven here at MotorMotion. He's one of the stalwarts here, and he always performs at the top of the pack. So there's no doubting he's got the pace. It was just a bit of a question over his strategy and tyre and fuel management up until now, but he's seemed to have gotten on top of that as well. So what a formidable force he's become. But correct me if I'm wrong, George, he also competes... well, there was a recent event in New Zealand, wasn't there, where they had the very best sim races from all forms of sim racing, and he was part of that. Was that right?
That's exactly right, yeah. The New Zealand Esports Racing Series recently held for the second season this year in New Zealand, where we get all the best GT7 drivers to do 6 weeks of online competition and then all come to Wellington for a live finals event where we have rigs all set up, live cameras, commentators, and the whole thing. And I was lucky to be there doing the broadcasting and commentary for that event. And yeah, Lewis Atkinson took P2 in that event overall at the live finals, bagged himself a nice prize. The winner of that was Matt McEwen, who you might know as a GT World Series driver and one of the fastest guys on the planet. He came second only to Matt McEwen.
Yeah, wow, what a feather in his bow that is. So you know, that what an incredible event. I wish there was something like that in Australia, but I don't think I've heard of such an event. But correct me if I'm wrong, George, that was just for GT7 drivers, was it? It wasn't for other games or PC races?
That was all for GT7, that's right. So the fastest GT7 player in New Zealand, that's right.
Yeah, wow. And yeah, you guys have got a few fast GT7 drivers, don't you?
We do, yeah. I mean, you know, Simon Bishop was also in that competition, and he unfortunately wasn't able to make it down for the live finals. But yeah, Simon Bishop and Matt McEwen, two fiercely quick drivers, both GT World Series drivers for a very, very long period of time. So yeah, New Zealand esports in sim racing is absolutely alive and well. And you know, Australia might be a big country, lots of very, very quick guys over there too. But yeah, little old New Zealand, we've got our little stars evolving. Nonetheless, as we
the cricketers were as good as these sim racers, but anyway,
I absolutely agree with you. No, I absolutely agree with you too. Right?
They're a pretty good cricket team these days too. I give them that.
They are. That's right. Well, the saving grace.
The silver ferns, or something. What is that? What they called?
Black caps, mate. Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but the saving grace is that apparently in esports we don't choke quite as much as we do in real life sports. So that's a positive that we'll take away. That's very, very good. Nonetheless, we are on the final lap of Group A. Elite and Pro category standings going to be finalized after the race. And 22 laps later, Gopi Mahinderjit, while he won't win the elite standings, he will win round 10 with a penalty to his name, 0.5 second to his name on the last quarter. Doesn't matter at all. Takes the checkered flag. Gopi Mahinderjit at the Fusion Race Engineering. Lewis Atkinson is going to take it across the line very slowly. I think he knows what's just happened. He knows that he had to finish ahead of Matt Donetti, and he's done that. Elite standings is swinging Hoonkorp's way, Lewis Atkinson's way, and this is going to be a celebration. It was a celebration across the line. He has, we believe, taken enough points. We'll double check that. Nick Pfaff takes a well-deserved P3 in this race, held on beautifully. Porsche performed like a dream, and then Mick Hill in P4 overall, but that's a P1 victory for him, and he will have secured now enough points for his championship victory. We have so much to talk about, Ando. What a fantastic race to finish out the final race of the season for Group A. The Elite and the Pro category standings all now done and dusted. Let's take a look at the final results for Group A. Gopi Mahinderjit does bring home the race win, followed by Lewis Atkinson, who we believe is the Elite standings champion of Season 2, the GT3 Championship. Then it's Nick Pfaff in P3, followed by who we believe is our Pro champion. And that is going to be, of course, Mick Hill for Hasselone Motorsport. Then, of course, it's Campbell Knowles, Nathan Wakefield, Jeremy Crow. Looking on the other sheet here, Glenn Mead, Matt McCullum, Matt Donetti, Drew Griffin, and Dean van der Zandt. The rest of your grid with 4 DNSs today. Dan Wood, Chris Duncan, Daniel McDonald, and Luke Stone. No DNFs today, always good to see. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is. And I wouldn't blame you if you want to do driver of the season. But nonetheless, get us your driver of the day in chat for Group A. And we'll be going to Group B coverage shortly. I will send you, I will send a link. Mick, you've just asked something in chat. I will send you a link at some point soon. Ando, great race, a little bit quiet, but it was all strategy.
It was, mate, and the drivers that executed well and made the fewest mistakes were the ones that came out on top. Gopi there just won from pillar to post and did not put a foot wrong the whole race. He ran a really good soft stint, and that's what set up the victory for him. Lewis there had a little bit of battling there with his arch rival Donetti, and fortunately for him, came out on top. I think that could have gone pear-shaped for both of them, couldn't it? They could have both ended up in the wall there at Stavelot. So a bit of a Code Brown moment maybe for Lewis there as he saw Donetti in front of him have his moment. But he managed to avoid disaster and bring home P2, which was enough to seal the championship. And look there, Mick Hill there in 4th outright. Again, just punching above his weight, you know, like the guy comes 3rd or 4th outright every round. So he's got to be a standout. So surely a team out there is going to pick him up as their elite driver for next season.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, it's a tricky one today for driver of the day. It really is. I mean, I think Gopi drove a beautiful, beautiful race. Qualified on pole position, drove a great race, executed the strategy. I mean, look, we saw that first stint on the softs, and he was metronomic through that stint. I mean, that level of skill shown today at Spa, really impressive. I'm just going to say it. Gopi Mahinderjit is going to be my driver of the day for a well-executed weekend. But, you know, unfortunately for him, he's not going to be in the position to win elite standings, even with those points to his name. Nonetheless, we'll get to the standings after Group B coverage. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is. Get involved, and of course, stay tuned because we've got Group B coverage. Then we've got our championship ceremony, which includes interviews with our drivers who have become champion, and of course our team owner interview with Hasselone Motorsport, who sneak preview have won the championship. I think we might have known that a few weeks ago, Andrew, but a little bit of inside information there for everyone. And then of course we will be hearing from our glorious leader in Jeff Bruin, working tirelessly behind the scenes to organize and arrange this every week for the last 12 weeks for everyone. So we'll all be there to say a big thank you to him. Stay tuned. We are now going to cut to a short break, and we'll be back for our coverage of Group B, the Pro-Am and Am Championship. Will continue in a few moments' time. See you in a few minutes. Hello and welcome back to MotorMotion E-Series, where we now continue our coverage heading towards Group B. We've had the final race of the season, round 10 for Group A. Looks like Lewis Atkinson has sealed things up there, as well as Mick Hill. We'll be talking to them later on in the broadcast when we get to our championship ceremony and interviews with our championship drivers. But now we get to look to Season 2, Round 10 for Group B, and that is the Pro-Am and Am categories, where, to be completely honest with you, it's pretty much all wrapped up, and we're here for a really fun Group Bazaar race today, because we know that Jackson Dean has won the Pro-Am, we know that Mark Hasseldean has won the Am class, and we know that Hasselborn has won the team's championship. The question is, will there be a good result for Hoon Corp? Will there be a good result for Gridline Racing? And how is that battle going down the bottom of the team standings towards the 5th place position? Going to be key for this final race, but we are here to have some fun. Andrew Scott, you've become a fan of Group B over the last few races. It's always exciting, it's always interesting. Shame that it doesn't come down to a championship battle at the end of the season, but boy oh boy have we seen some amazing drives in this category.
Yeah, you're right, George. It is a bit of a shame that there's no championship on the line, but you're absolutely right. I've become a fan of Group B. These guys really do take it seriously. They go hammer and tong at each other. And there's always some action. There's always a twist in the story. There's always some drama at some point throughout these races. And I'm really excited to see what this one brings, because I'm sure even though the championship's over, these guys have got the red mist happening and they'll be going for it once again.
They certainly will be. Let's take a look at the current Pro-Am standings. So this is pre-race standings, of course. Jackson Dean has secured things in P1. Still a little bit of a battle between Rob Jacobs and Mark Pacheco, but Rob Jacobs in the box seat to take P2 in the Pro-Am category. Then it's Shane Attard in P4 with a little bit of a battle on his hands. Got to hold off the likes of Mitch Collin today to hold on to that P4 slot. Then behind them in P6, Richard Robinson, Robert Rice, and Jeff Bruin, our glorious leader, who has made a return onto the GT3 Championship Group B for Diffusion Race Engineering, filling in for the last few races of the season. So not really a lot going on in the standings here. Keep an eye, though, between Shane Attard and Mitch Collin. Going to be absolutely critical for them today. Similar story for AM Class. Mark Hasseldine has won the category. There's a little bit of a battle brewing for P2 as well. Troy Britnell looks to be very comfortable at the moment where he is. Aiden Chase is got some potential, but he's going to have to do a lot of work today, and Troy Britnell is going to have a bit of a bad day out as well. Behind them, Kevin Cooper, pretty close, but not close enough. Might be battling for a top 3 position here today. That's another one to keep an eye on in the AM standings. Then on the same points, Super Bob is battling with Kevin Cooper for that P4 spot, both of them with a chance to overtake Aiden Chase for P3. That is going to be an interesting battle. Rick Atwell, Jack Finch, and Graham Splint at the bottom of the standings here today. So really, Andrew, the key battles are going to be for kind of P2, P3 slots in both of the categories. This one is going to be fascinating. Super Bob, on a charge. I believe it was his birthday a couple of days ago as well, battling with Kevin Cooper and hoping to chase down Aiden Chase.
Yeah, and you never know what Kevin Cooper's garage is going to come with strategy-wise, do you? So that'll be interesting to see as well. And yeah, I'm picking my teammate Pacheco today for a win in third. And I tell you what, our boss Jeff Bruin in P7, I believe he's starting this race. I'm backing him for a top 5 today, George. Let's go, Jeff.
Absolutely love it. Love the confidence. Let's go, Jeff, as well. Yes, the Hoon Corp strategy gamble. What will it be today in Group B? It's going to be interesting. Let's take a look at our qualifying results for Group B, and this is how it lines up. Jackson Dean, our Pro-Am champion, lines up on the top spot with Rob Jacobs just behind him. Then it's Riley Nicholson, who's been showing great pace for CP Motorsport. Might play a big factor today in where CP Motorsports finish in the team's standings. Going to be absolutely critical for them. Starts ahead of Shane Attard and then Mark Pacheco in P5. Not the best starting position for him, but he'll have a lot of slipstream to work with this race. Mark Hasseldine starts on P1 for AM Class. He's also the AM Class champion. And then Jeff Bruin, P7 is where he's qualified behind Mark Hasseldine. So he's going to have some work to do today, unfortunately, Andrew.
Yeah, he's behind an AM driver, but he could be able to clear him early on in the race. And then the sky's the limit for him. You never know. He could pull one out of the bag. But also my mate Pacheco in P5 wasn't a great quality for him either. But I think the Beamer is strong around here, like we saw with Mick Hill and the like in Lobby A. I've just got a feeling about the BMW around here. I think it's going to come out of its shell and really shine.
There we go. Looking down the rest of the grid, Rick Atwell in P8, followed by Super Bob for Diffusion Race Engineering in P9. Troy Britnell qualifies in P10, but crucially ahead of Aiden Chase. That's points there, very important. But critically for Bob Massey, he's qualified well ahead of Kevin Cooper, who's down there in P13. That's the battle right now for P4 in the overall championship standings for AM Class. Troy Britnell and Aiden Chase, P10, P11. Richard Robinson in between them in P12. Then Kevin Cooper, Jack Finch, and Graham Splint. 15 cars on the grid today is going to make for a very exciting Group B. Let's get out on track because we're ready to go, Andrew. This is going to be a good race, but before we get there, let us know in chat, what are your predictions? Who do you think is going to take home the win at Spa? And Andrew, what are you thinking today? Group Bazaar, can you predict it, or is it just going to be chaos?
Yeah, I think I've gone for a couple of left field options there. I'm going for Pacheco for the win today. That's a real long shot with where he's starting. And for the AM guys, yeah, it's a real lottery, I think.
Let's see what happens. Group B produces some amazing racing. Let's go out on track and see the action unfold. Jackson Dean round the bus stop chicane. The final race of Season 2, Group B. He's already the champion in the number 100 car. We'll be hearing from him later on in the interviews. green flag, and we are away racing now for the final time, the final 50 minutes of racing in Season 2 here for the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship. As a decent run off the line for Jackson Dean, Rob Jacobs in behind, and this is actually the similar order we've got. We've got a Hooncore P Sports R8 being chased down by a CP Motorsports Lamborghini in P2 and P3, Deja Vu from Group A. This, of course, being led this time not by a Mercedes of Gopi Mahidajit, but being led by the champion BMW driver in Pro-Am, Jackson Dean. In behind them, a little bit of action going on behind there, and it is going to be Pacheco with a fantastic start in this race. He's already made it up ahead of Shane Attard. Great start for the Gridline Racing driver, and he's chosen the softs early on, so the 773 is going to be on a bit of a charge. Riley Nicholson is on the medium, as is Rob Jacobs, and Jackson Dean also on the medium. So 3 cars ahead of him, the top 3 spots. Mark Pacheco has chosen to go softs early on, trying to prioritize maybe a bit of track position in this race.
Yeah, it's a real long shot, isn't it? He's just thrown hell to high water here, and he said, let's go for it last round. Let's have a crack. And he's going to have to clear these 3 guys if he's going to have any chance of winning. So let's see if he can do it.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a battle here. I mean, the second half of the stint as well is going to get even more crazy for Mark Pacheco. He'll be defending for his life, but your left field prediction has somehow gotten off to a rather good start, which is very unusual for us in the commentary box. We're not used to having our predictions come true, but as the old phrase goes from Murray Walker, we don't make predictions in the commentary box. We make prophecies that turn out to be false. We'll see if this one turns out to be false today. Mark Pacheco on a charge.
Yeah, he is, and it is early days yet, so don't count your chickens, because we all know how those soft tyres drop off if you don't treat them right. So he's going to have to find some way to look after his softs, but also clear these medium runners ahead. And yeah, I'm not liking his chances, to be honest, but I'm sticking with him because he was my prediction, and let's see if it turns out to be false or true.
Yep, that's exactly right. His best chance is going to be on the Radeon, Eau Rouge and Kemmel straight. That's going to be the best opportunity for him because he will have the overspeed. That's how he got the positions early on from Shane Attard. It's going to have a little look down the inside, just threatening the Lamborghini ahead, and that's going to make Riley Nicholson look in that rear mirror and just wonder, when is the attack going to happen? Pacheco could be attacking any time, but he'll know that he's vulnerable on the straight. P3 is likely not going to be his at the end of the Kemmel straight into Les Combes. But nonetheless, there will still be an opportunity. He is very close and might be too much. He has lifted, you're right, but there should still be a good bit of overspeed here. Might get him halfway down the straight. Let's see, he'll pull out to the right-hand side in a few moments' time. No, chooses to bump draft. Interesting.
Wow, that is really interesting. I'm thinking he's not even aware that they're on mediums ahead of him, maybe. That was really peculiar because he had an easy run on Water Arrow there. I think he could have easily got him into that corner, the name of which escapes me at the end of Kemmel Straight there. I always forget the name of that corner. But he should have been able to pull alongside before the braking zone for Lake Omne.
I think he should have, yeah, absolutely. And maybe a little bit of a strategy play here. He's trying to maybe force the guys ahead to fight a little bit, but the less dirty air he's running in, the better. I guess he may just want to avoid slowing himself and Riley down. He wants maybe to chase after Rob Jacobs and Jackson Dean. I mean, it's all bunched up at the top at the moment. Top 4 all running line astern, and behind them Shane Attard and the AM Class Championship winner Mark Hasseldine running just behind. But at the moment, both categories being led by I believe, a Hassel 1 Motorsports driver, so that's going to be a great situation for them. Shane Attard has picked up a 0.5 second penalty. I get the feeling this is going to let Mark Hasseldine fly on past. Is it going to be the case? I think it is. Slow down does happen, and Astor Racing will have to consolidate their race because P6 is now where Shane Attard is running in the Pro-Am category. P5 technically, but P6 overall in this race. Will there be a move? Mark Pacheco's looking rather dangerous at the moment. In fact, Jackson Dean's under a lot of pressure ahead as well from Rob Jacobs, who's looking very racy early on. That's not a great run for Rob Jacobs. Riley Nicholson, though, even worse run through the bus stop chicane for him. Fastest lap to Hassel 1, that is Mark Hasseldine, I should say, a 2-minute 18.006. This battle is getting very, very spicy at the top.
Yeah, an easy pass there out of the bus stop. The soft tyres and the traction that they afford Pacheco there just got him out of the bus stop so well. And he's going to have to make a move now on Rob Jacobs. He's got to run here, I think, down the Kemmel Straight, and he's just going to have to go for it. I think he's realised that they're on mediums, and it's his time to shine. So he's going for it, George.
Yep, and he should, rightly so. This is 2 overtakes in a matter of corners, and that's exactly what I think he was lining himself up to do. Just kind of push the field forward that little bit, bunch them up a little bit more, and now he's in the shooting position to take the lead of this race early on, which is what he needs to do to take advantage of starting on the soft tyre early. Rob Jacobs having a little bit of a battle behind there with Riley Nicholson. Riley Nicholson's going to have the inside line through Bruxelles, and down the hill we go. Does hold on to P3 for the moment, but all of this is bringing Mark Hasseldine into the picture, and this 4-way battle now suddenly looking like a 5-way battle. Shane Attard also just creeping off in the distance there, just in behind, so this could be a 6-way battle in short order, but Mark Hasseldine, Mark Pacheco is going to have to be the one to make a move soon on Jackson Dean, the Pro-Am champion, his rival and friend throughout the season until Catalunya, where it was all sealed and done for Jackson Dean. Mark Pacheco not having a great time out at that place, found himself in the kiddie litter, the gravel trap, so to speak, at least once during Catalunya, which really ruined his hopes of putting himself up further in this championship. Nonetheless, this might be the opportunity right here. Through Blanchimont we go.
Yeah, Pacheco, or Paco, is affectionately known, has had a couple of whoopsies this season, but he's brought his A game today by the looks of it. And it's interesting to see the 2 soft runners in the top 5 are at the BMWs, and they're both looking pretty good on their soft tyre wear. Just like Gopi in his Mercedes in Group A, these guys have got even tyre wear, front to back, left to right, so there's no one corner of the car that's screaming out for mercy and is looking like expiring anytime soon. So these guys are looking pretty good, because both drivers, that being Mark Hasseldine and Pacheco, have made places quite handsomely in these first 5 laps.
Oh, there we go. Nearly side by side, but rightly so. Jackson Dean does actually concede the position to Mark Pacheco. He'll have the slipstream through the Kemmel Straight, but under a lot of pressure now from Riley Nicholson, holding on a P3, and this is going to be a slipstream battle all the way to the end of the Kemmel Straight. Mark Pacheco's in the lead now with a great overtake on the exit at La Source. Got it done, but will Jackson Dean be able to fight back? He's looking to try and make the maneuver. Will he break deep? He can't. He's not side by side at all, and that will be position secured for Mark Pacheco in P1 for gridline racing. Great racing from him early on. Great management of the soft tyre, took advantage of it when it mattered, and that's super, super critical for him. Rob Jacobs has actually been overtaken by Mark Hasseldine on the straight as well. So Rob Jacobs falls to P5. I believe at the moment he's in P2 of the championship and does need to finish up ahead of Mark Pacheco, who's currently in the lead of this race. That's a bit awkward for Rob Jacobs, and being overtaken by yet another BMW is not going to feel particularly good at the moment. In the meantime, Riley Nicholson in the green CP Motorsports car, also going hard, just had a bit of a mistake in the entry of Pouon there.
Yeah, a little bit of a whoopsie, so he's lost a bit of time there, but he's in a good spot. But I tell you what, it looks to be a bit of a crapshoot. If you're in a BMW on softs on a full tank of fuel, compared to everyone else, you are on fire. So these guys are really carving through the field in their Bavarian monsters, aren't they?
They certainly are, yeah. The Bavarian Monster Wickel. We're making up acronyms for BMW. I'm sure we'll make up more. Let us know your suggestions in chat. The more creative, the more rude, the better. That's going to be the way of it. So this battle for the top 6 looking great. Let's look down the rest of the field, and it is Rick. Rick Atwell is in P7 for gridline racing, followed by Bob Massey. So a little bit of a switcheroo of positions between them. Then it's Aidan Chase in P9, followed by Robinson in the Black Rose Racing Mercedes, a fair way off that battle at the moment. Then Blue Dog, who's making a return for CP Motorsports in the final race, not in last position. Then it is Troy Brittonell, and unfortunately Jeff Bruin with damage on the car. Jeff Bruin has had a shocker at the beginning of this race. Our predictions turned into prophecies and turned into falsehoods.
Maybe a bit of commentator's curse to go into the mix as well. So apologies in advance to you, Jeff. I'm sorry about that one.
I'm sure he'll come into the commentary box later on and lament his luck that he's had in this season. Of course, bear in mind, he's not had any time to practice. He's been running the league. Just to see him on the grid is absolutely brilliant, and we love to take the Mickey out of him, or the Mikey out of him, whatever you want to say, the Mike. I think that was a very bad pun there. I'll stick with it though. Then Kevin Cooper in last place, unfortunately for him, has switched onto the medium tyre. I'm not sure if he's actually come into the pit box or not, but he is a fair way back, so something major has happened. I think he has actually come into the pits early on and is trying to run these mediums very long in this race. So yeah, there's the Hooncorp Esports strategy gamble at play once again, Andrew.
Right, so I missed that one. So the old one lap on soft strategy, is that what they've done?
That appears to be what they've done. They've started the race, had the second lap done, and then come straight into the pits on lap 3. So
okay, well, I don't know what the race engineer's having, but I want some.
Yeah,
because that is a really novel strategy.
That's absolutely bizarre, but that's exactly what we expect from not only Kevin Cooper and the Hooncorp garage, but also from Group Bazaar. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Battle here for P3. Mark Hasseldine is on an absolute charge as well. He's on the racing soft tyres. Bear in mind to keep that in mind as he does pass Riley Nicholson very nicely through the exit of Parkness corners. Riley is looking very, very squiggly on the rear end of those medium tyres, even though he's got no wear on them really whatsoever. He's just putting the power down a little bit too much, trying to extract the speed without the necessary grip to do so. Rob Jacobs now on his tail and will be trying to fight his way back up through the grid. So really two people out of position at the moment, Mark Hasseldine and Mark Pacheco, the two Marks, making a bit of a mark on the top 6 at the moment, Andrew.
Yeah, like I said, the BMWs on the softs are really a force to be reckoned with, but their tyres are starting to look a little bit worse for wear. In particular, Mark Hasseldine's front right is looking to like it's right on the precipice of going over temp, and that'll be bad news for him if it does so, because he might have to pit sooner rather than later. But he does have the track position. Once again, he's in formation with his Hassel 1 teammate. They're making a spectacle of it, George, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know if they really care about the result at the end of the day, but they're certainly making sure that the gold is at least 2 cars long on the track at all periods of the race, and they're doing that right now. Mark Hasseldine will probably be able to overtake Jackson Dean. Maybe no team orders today, we shall see. A little bit awkward when you've got your team owner right behind you. What do you do in that situation as Jackson Dean? Do you fight it? Do you throw a bird towards your team owner and say, no, you're not going to pass here, good luck? Or do you concede and just go, no, you can have it, mate?
Well, to throw a spanner in the works, they're on different tyres as well. So the soft runners behind, and I'm sure they would have known this coming out of the same garage, so they know what tyre each other's on. So Jackson Dean has a decision to make here. Does he yield to his teammate, or does he hang it out there and possibly ruin his race?
Yeah, we'll turn the proverbial spanner in the works into a hammer to the windmill. You don't want that to happen, especially in a team environment, especially when you've got champagne in the garage waiting for you at the end of this race, and interviews to conduct as well with the commentators. You don't want to be causing any drama, because you know absolutely 100% that we will be hooking right into that, and the question will be asked. So avoid awkward PR moments is our advice here today. We'll see if they take it. Nonetheless, yeah, good drive so far from Mark Hasseldine, but yeah, it will be a bit of a fight towards the end of this race as he jumps onto the medium tyres. Question that I need answered right now is, how long are we going to see these softs last? I get the feeling it's not going to be 20 or 23 minute stints here today with Group B.
No, possibly Paco even there is starting to look worse for wear on his front right. But they could have another 3 laps in them, these softs, so they'll get close.
Yeah, I think they will get pretty close, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, we did see Gopi Mahindra and Matt Donetti extending out to nearly 24 minutes in the initial race, and that's still 10 minutes to go in this stint, and I don't think that's really worth the risk, personally, or at least I certainly do not have the driving skill to make that sort of strategy work. But you know, we know the medium tyres will last, so you can get onto them pretty soon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yeah, you know, so I'd be going for the undercut if I was them with their current state of their tyres. So, you know, take the punt, get in there early, get onto the medium tyre, try to look after them, and then hold on for dear life at the end of the race.
Exactly, and you will be holding on to dear life, that is for sure, because the medium tyres around here, you know, for the few laps that the softs will be good, you will be losing at least a second to the other cars on the grid. That is a scary proposition, especially if you start to make a few small mistakes. A track like this, Spa, is one of those pressure cookers. It is one of those circuits that really challenges the driver's focus and concentration. You know, quite a few corners at this circuit, just over 20 corners, 7-kilometer length, and these are not simple corners. You know, they're on camber, they're off camber, they're downhill, they're uphill. You get into Brooks Hills, you forget your braking zone just that slight little bit, and suddenly you're finding yourself off track, in the kitty litter, in the gravel, in a wall potentially, certainly losing grip, and that can be a very scary area to be in. So Spa is one of those tracks that does challenge the drivers, and you've got to be absolutely onto it. And at the end of the stint, if you're on those soft tires, you might just not find yourself being as aware as you need to be about how much grip you've got left.
Yeah, the softs can go off at a moment's notice as well. So if your soft tire over-temps at the wrong time, and you go to lean on it, and the grip's not there, then off you go, and disaster is just one turn away.
That's exactly right. So Bob Massey on your screen right now for Diffusion Race Engineering, being partnered with Jeff Bruin, is ahead of his teammate at the moment. But yeah, Bob Massey, of course, happy birthday from everyone in the chat and the commentary booth. For many happy returns for a couple of days ago. I did actually very briefly jump onto an AI chatbot that makes music, and I typed in this. So I'm going to do a Jeremy Clarkson thing here. Well, I went onto the internet, I went onto the chatbot, and I found this. But no, what I typed in was I typed in, make me a song that's just like the Super Max song, but replace it with Super Bob. And it came up with something absolutely brilliant, but then it asked me to pay for it. So unfortunately, I had to say no, because I don't really want to pay too much to you have to subscribe for 3-month minimum, and then you can download the song, all that sort of stuff. But I'll tell you what you should do, Bob Massey, if you are watching, go into one of those chatbots and find the music one, and then ask it to make a Super Bob song. It's absolutely brilliant. Although it did get one, it did just I know I'm digressing here rather substantially, but it did come up with one lyric that I was a little bit that made me laugh, and it was very untrue. It said, Super Bob, he's fast in the corners, first to last. And I was going, oh no, it's really got it wrong there.
Clutching defeat from the jaws of victory.
That's it, exactly right.
I tell you what, George, you sounded a little bit like Clarkson there. I tell you what. You did. Is there, by chance, might you be from the same region in the UK? Maybe. That was uncanny.
No. All I can say is that I do a reasonably good job at mimicking people's accents on occasion. So that's all I can say. And I might have watched quite a bit of Jeremy Clarkson and Top Gear, so that probably helps.
And
just a
we
little
found
bit as well.
this.
I
like it.
I found this. Well, that's when we did the stick thing as well. You know, when what did I say? It was I can't remember. I can't do the thing now. But
Anyhow,
I think we said something about you having the windows open when you fly planes. All we know is he's called the Stig. Right, back to the racing. It is, of course, Pacheco still in the race, followed by Jackson Dean and Mark Hasseldean, the softs, now in the danger zone as we head towards 1.5 to 20 minutes through this race. Rob Jacobs stuck solidly behind the CP Motorsports car of Riley Nicholson, and into the pits comes Mark Hasseldean, and that is going to be the end of his soft stint. I don't think anyone else has jumped in, so Pacheco going again.
Yeah, can Hasseldean do 32 minutes now on the mediums? Now that's the question. Or is he going to go soft? Let's see if he tries to pull off a two-stopper maybe.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we have seen potential of a two-stopper down there with Kevin Cooper. It's definitely one of those strategies that we go, I'm not quite sure if that works out. You're better off saving a bit of fuel. But we've also had this conversation before in previous seasons, not of the GT3 Championship, but just overall this year through TCR as well. Relative length of the pit stop. Now, relative to the length of the circuit here, it's actually quite short because it's not the 24-hour layout.
No, but unfortunately, George, that's not how pit stops work. But anyway, so the length of the track is really irrelevant in the calculation. It's purely just the length of the pit stop, and a track that has a long pit stop is going to lean towards a one-stopper over a two-stopper, and vice versa, of course.
So do we think that the two-stopper here is actually viable?
Look, it could be if executed to perfection. And you know, when you're going to do a two-stopper with softs mandatory, you might as well go soft, soft, soft. Not one lap on soft, then two stints of mediums. But so, you know, if it's done to perfection, it can actually, I think if I'm remembering correctly from the run we did on the supercomputers, it came out within 5 seconds, but the one stop was about 5 seconds to the good.
Yeah, so looking up a little bit of conservatism on whether it's the medium or the soft, or especially the soft stint there. You can go pretty hammer and tongs on the mediums for the most part. They do hold up very well against the wear and tear at a circuit like this, but the softs, I mean, we saw it. The best executed strategy of the day so far has been Gopi Mahindra. Started on the softs, and those tyres were dead even on their wear by the time he came into the pits after 23 minutes.
Yeah, and Water Arrow in third place there with a half-second penalty. Unfortunately, on the exit of Blanchimont, runs a bit wide, and now he's in strife here as they exit the bus stop. Rob Jacobs is showed his nose there, but Pacheco's into the pits, and his soft stint is done, and he's going to commit now to the one stop. He'll switch onto the medium surely now to finish off the race.
Yeah,
but yeah, George, what were we talking about? Sorry.
Something to do with strategy, I think. Talking about the two-stopper. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you know, if you can do 7 or 8 laps 3 times on soft, and you're doing quality times every lap, you may be able to claw back on that Gopi-style driver that's doing one stop.
That's right. We shall see how this evolves, and of course, that is a 21-minute and 30-second stint there. For Mark Pacheco, he'll find himself back in the order. Hopefully he'll be able to navigate through any traffic. And that's the other complicated thing as well, with the medium runners still out there for another 15 minutes or so, or between 10 and 15 minutes. If you come out now from a soft stint onto the mediums, you've now got to fight through it, and you're not going to have a massive pace advantage over the medium runners because you're on mediums as well.
You are, but you're on fresh mediums, so I think that will be good enough. There's enough opportunities around this track to pass if you've got a tyre advantage. So I think it's not as hard as some tracks to clear a car in front that's on either a harder compound or on worn tyres compared to you. So coming out in traffic is not too much of a problem around this track, but executing those constant, consistent, quality paced laps with no penalties and no mistakes, that is a problem around here, because that's not easy to do.
Exactly, and you really just need to find out either how you prefer to attack that strategy, or where your position kind of dictates the strategy to be. I think the softs first made a lot of sense for Mark Pacheco. He was able to make those overtakes cleanly and quickly, and that was key to the strategy today for him. Whereas if you don't have that confidence to overtake on the softs early on and really put your nose in there, you'll find yourself in a bit of trouble. Oh, Riley Nicholson having a bit of a moment at the bus stop chicane. Again, these two really coming to blows a little bit, but respectful still between them. Rob Jacobs knows when he's made a little bit of a faux pas, and Riley Nicholson has been able to hold on for the moment. And coming back to that point, Andrew, I mean, if I'm looking at this stint here, I think I would prefer to be attacking people on who are on worn mediums while I'm on fresher softs at the end of the race, and then just managing it once I've made those overtakes. I think personally, my driving style suits that kind of approach. So starting on the mediums is almost certainly what I'd try here today. Let people do the overtakes, do a bit of defending, try and make a bit of a mess of their strategy, putting the car on the apex. But that's not going to be the right decision for everyone on the grid, and it really is position dependent.
No, that's right. So it all comes down to personal choice and what you think your best pace is on which combo, but it's always a trade-off, George. So you might want to start the race on mediums, and then you can attack like crazy on softs at the end, but you might have given up too much time by then. So you might be spending all your soft tyre life just catching up to the car in front, let alone making a pass on it. So it really is more of a clean, no mistakes type strategy is the paramount or the number one concern, and then tyre choice for starting the race and one stop or two stop, that's the finessing type part of the deal. But above all else, if you want to have any chance of podium places or even winning a race around here, you've got to have no mistakes. As we see there, Shane Attard with another penalty there in the Porsche, so that's going to hurt his chances again significantly. A half second around here down the Blanchimont straight quickly turns into the best part of 1 second as you come over the line, because it's such a long straight. Now he's going to proceed down into Blanchimont corner itself, and he's leaking time the whole way down here because he's had to hit the brakes there at the start.
Exactly, and of course that costs you the run through Raidillon, Eau Rouge, and the Kemmel Straight, and that's massive. So you suddenly find yourself out of that battle pack, and this is one of the key strategies for driving around here. If you do find yourself not really able to overtake the cars ahead, or maybe you don't want to, you're on a different strategy, at least staying in the slipstream range makes a massive difference in a circuit like this, especially through Raidillon and Eau Rouge. I mean, you do have the little downside of being in dirty air through there, so it costs a little bit more on the tire life, but you can sort of get away with it for the most part. But if you're suddenly being dropped by the pack in front, yeah, you're suddenly finding yourself in a really not ideal situation with regards to the race. Everyone who's in that slipstream train is just going to make time hand over fist on you.
Yeah, it'll almost feel like after serving a penalty, if you find yourself on your own outside of slipstream range, you might as well kiss goodbye to the cars in front if they're in a group. So, most GT3 cars can make it through Eau Rouge and Raidillon flat these days, even if they're in the slipstream of the car in front. So that dirty air is not really a factor. But I tell you what, after Raidillon, that run on down into Les Combes, yay, I remember the name. Being in slipstream really does set you up to make a move. So that's the key. You either gain on the car in front and go for the move, or you get to short shift, lift and coast, and save a significant amount of fuel at that part of the circuit.
Exactly right. I'll have to... Oh, Riley Nicholson with a bit of a mistake at Pouin. That's going to cost him the position. He's run wide. He's got onto the green stuff, and that is the position lost. And Riley Nicholson was doing a great job holding off Rob Jacobs for so long, but he put a couple of tyres outside the exit of the first part of Pouin. The car just got dragged wide all the way through, and you lose so much time when that happens. Rob Jacobs drives on past. He's now in P2 in this race, and in fact there's going to be a move. Shane Attard has made the move at Stavelot and Blanchimont. That's brilliant work from Shane Attard. Way to take advantage of Riley Nicholson's mistake there.
Very nice. Yeah, I think Riley might have had dirty tyres still from Pouin. But yeah, you're right, George. One little car, tyre width or so wide on the exit of Pouin, and you've got to get out of the throttle. You've got, that was actually a good save there, because he could have gone round or headed towards the barriers there to his right if he had have mismanaged that little mistake, as he pulls into the pits now. So he's making the call, and he's going for an undercut here.
Certainly is, and he's got 14 litres of fuel on board. Jackson Dean's come in with 7. Mad Rick has come in with only 1 litre of fuel on board. That is very close margins for Gridline Racing's Rick Atwell, currently in P5. Same with Bob Massey and Robinson, all of them 1, 2, 3 litres a piece there, so very close. Hasseldean will come on through on all of them and retake P3 in this race. Jackson Dean, 7 litres to the deficit of Water Arrow. It's not really enough to make a difference, but that just goes to show this Lamborghini has always been really good on its fuel usage, and Riley Nicholson has been really taking advantage of that in the last few races.
Yeah, if you just short shift it slightly, it can be really good on fuel compared to the cars around it, and not lose any pace at all. So that 7 litre advantage is about 2 seconds in the pit stop. So that is not a huge amount, but it is significant. So let's see if it pays dividends here, and it allows him some sort of a chance of gaining a spot here.
That's right, and as we look on Mark Hasseldean in the number 16 car, he's on racing softs, Andrew. So he has gone from racing softs to racing softs in this race. Two-stopper?
Yeah, like we thought. I think so. He was the first to pull the trigger and pit, I think. So I think he might be on a two-stopper.
Yeah, looks that way. So this will be very interesting. He's in third right now, well off the back of P1 and P2, who I believe do need to come in for a pit stop in the next 2 or 3 laps, and that means he will get advantage over them. Question is going to be how much of an advantage can he build, and whether that second pit stop is going to be to his detriment or not. He does hold the fastest lap of the race right now, a 2-minute 17.955, so he's definitely got the pace out there to be trying this two-stopper. I guess at the end of the day, you've won the AM class standings, your team's won the team standings, why not try something different?
Yeah, that might be what's happening here. He's decided to just, have a punt, roll the dice, have a go at it. Why not? There's nothing to lose here for him, really. But, to make this strategy work, he's got to be doing those 2-minute 17s, consistently. And he's not quite achieving that, is he? As his softs look to be dropping off already. He's got one more pit stop to make in the race here. Let's see if he can manage those softs and pull something out of the bag here.
Yeah, 2-minute 18.8 that last lap. So he's probably 6 to 8 tenths off the pace that he really needs to be, but those tires are already sort of in the danger zone. I'd be surprised if he wants to run them for more than 6 or 7 minutes, and maybe 3 more laps for Mark Hasseldine. He's certainly got the fuel to do it. Not fuel to get to the end of the race, though. Still 20 minutes left in this race, so he will need to do a little bit of a splash and dash as he changes those tires. In behind him, Mark Pacheco. This is the race that Hasseldine is really facing right now. Mark Pacheco, of course, was leading the race on that soft stint that he did at the beginning on the racing mediums. Now got fuel to the end, so Mark Pacheco is just managing what he's doing right now. He's got Jackson Dean behind him. We've just seen the distance. Jackson Dean has come out on the racing soft tires, no surprise there, followed by Water Arrows and Riley Nicholson right behind him on racing softs as well, but that is the 0.5-second penalty to Riley's name. I get the feeling that's no Rouge and Radion won that one.
The old the top of Radion there. If you cut it too much and your right tyres don't stay on that red and yellow curb, then that's a paddling.
Yep, that's right. We have just heard a word from the Hassel One Motorsport Garage that it wasn't an intentional two-stopper. They had to put him on the strategy because he absolutely cooked his tyres fighting with the Pro-Am guys. So a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but the attempted two-stopper, not something that's just hey, let's try it out and see what happens. Actually a result of the tires just getting absolutely ruined early on in this race. So that is the reason behind it. We'll see if it does work out in his favor. At the moment, it's looking promising, I have to admit. As Rob Jacobs comes into the pit lane on 3 litres of fuel, this penalty will be served by Riley Nicholson very, very soon. He's really putting the pressure on Jackson Dean, but of course that pressure soon to be released with the taking off of the lid of the saucepan.
Yeah, so he serves a penalty there. He's going to lose well over half a second now to the car in front, and it's a bit of a shame because he was really looking good there. He definitely had his elbows out and he was ready to go for it, but it won't be too long before he's back under the rear wing of that Bavarian monster windmill. And it could be on again.
The Bavarian Monster Windmill. You heard it here first, folks, and we're going to stick with that. That's absolutely brilliant. I'm so glad we got the windmill reference in there in a much more appropriate place than I put it last time. Critically, Rob Jacobs out ahead of Jackson Dean and on the racing soft tyres that are much fresher. And that is massive because remember, Jackson Dean was the forerunner of all the original medium stint ones. So Jackson Dean has actually lost that position, and Rob Jacobs has found his way into this, I guess, provisional P1 spot. Got Pacheco ahead on the strategy that he's executing on the medium tyres. Will be running conservatively through this race. He's a couple of corners ahead at the moment. Keep an eye on that gap as we head through to the last 15 minutes of Season 2 here at the GT3 Championship. Mark Hasseldine on the soft tyres, looking worse for wear. 2-minute 20.2. The mistakes are starting to creep in, Nando.
Yeah, I tell you what, my little speculator bet's not looking too bad at the moment, is it? With Pacheco there in P2 and the car ahead, Mark Hasseldine on possibly not the optimal strategy. Apparently I have to scull a shot now. for saying that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, yeah.
But yeah, I'm not allowed to use the term optimal strategy. Apparently, I use it too much, obviously. But
Well,
yeah, Pacheco's in the box seat. I could have a 100-to-1 winner here.
yeah, you could have. Shame that we don't have any gambling odds set against the drivers in esports just yet. Maybe that's future.
We must talk to Jeff about that.
Oh, absolutely. It's not going to be the commentary box.
We might be able to start an illegal betting.
The illegal gambling ring right out of the commentary box.
Sure.
In a black market style. I love this idea. I
Yeah,
think it's
I
absolutely
didn't just
brilliant.
say that live on YouTube, did I?
I don't think so. No. We'll have to see if Gran Turismo decides to include the Las Vegas Grand Prix track anytime soon. Then it'll be absolutely perfect. Place your bets. Place your bets for driver of the day. Place your bets for who's going to win today's race. It's all up in the air as Mark Asseldine comes into the pit lane. Pacheco will re-inherit, I should say, the lead of this race. Rob Jacobs will also find his way ahead, and this is not working out well so far for Mark Asseldine. So yeah, the two-stopper, I think we can pretty convincingly say, not the optimal strategy today. And I get to say that because I don't say it at all.
No, it might not be, as I said earlier, unless it's executed to absolute perfection, you can't have any traffic, you can't have any sort of mistakes. You've got to set quality lap after quality lap to make that two-stopper work.
Certainly do. Now we're on board with Riley Nicholson, P4. This is the battle for P3. Jackson Dean holding the inside line very, very tidily as well. Not going to be much of an opportunity for Riley Nicholson, but is he going to try around the outside? He's tried, but he has not made it work. Jackson Dean holds the inside nicely. Little bit of a slip there from the Lamborghini. Will pull it back in line and get back onto the rear diffuser of Jackson Dean. So a great little battle now occurring between these two guys on the same strategy. Who's got the fresher tires? Neither of them. They're on exactly the same strategy right now. And the question is, can they avoid fighting too much and maybe try and catch up to the back of Rob Jacobs? We shall see, but this is certainly the battle on track right now. The rest of the field fairly spread out for the most part. We'll go through and do a full rundown of the grid as soon as this battle starts to cool down. But yeah, Riley Nicholson looking very quick in the Lamborghini today. And actually, we said before the BMWs, the windmills, have looked fast on the racing soft tires, but I think the Lamborghini looks even faster.
It could well be, George. Yeah, it's just a question of its rear tyre wear. Looking at these two cars and their tyre wear and how long have they got to go? They've still got 13 and a half minutes to go in this race. We could have some expiring soft tyres here by the end of this race, and it could be a battle between two different menus on two different sets of expired, fully red tyres here. One at the front, one at the back.
It might as well be raining at Spa if we do get to see that. It's going to be fantastic to see. Jackson Dean does take the middle line into the braking zone. It's going to expose his outside line through the final part of the bus stop chicane, but cannot be taken advantage of this time by Riley Nicholson. So a nice defensive move there from Jackson Dean, the championship winner, of course, of Pro-Am, being put under a lot of pressure at the end of this race. I think he'll be very happy to be having a nice, fierce battle with Riley Nicholson, who's come in to the season late in the season from round 7, I believe, Nordschleifer, where he had some great results there for CB Motorsports. They're side by side as they head towards Erosion Radion. Jackson Dean has been cautious around that area in the past, and he is cautious around there this time out. Gives the position to Riley Nicholson, and actually it's a smart move because you can make a little bit of a fight back. If you give up that position before you head in to that downhill part of Eau Rouge, you can make a fight back. Riley Nicholson holds the inside line, but he doesn't right to the end. That's an opportunity for Jackson Dean. Oh, this is great racing between these two, Endo.
Yeah, it's great. They are swapping positions. They are trading blows. They've got their robos out. Ever since Stavolo this lap, they've been going at it. And I think I saw down the Blanchimont straight, Water Arrow did get ahead slightly before into the bus stop. Jackson Dean got the advantage back. And then they swapped around again after La Source. So these two are really going at it with each other. As we see, Water Arrow somehow has made a little bit of a gap here. He's got himself a little bit of breathing space somehow, George.
That's right. Well, remember, we've got 10 minutes still in this race, and Water Arrow is starting to chew into those tires a little bit more. especially the rear tires, which is exactly what you were talking about before with the Lamborghini, does tend to eat into those rear tires a little bit more than the BMW, and that's a very nice tire wear on the racing softs of Jackson Dean. He might be able to bring a fight back to Riley Nicholson late in this race. It's not going to really matter in terms of the championship points at all, but this is critical for CP Motorsports getting a good result here with Riley Nicholson. That'll be great for them, elevating potentially elevating them up towards a P5 finish in the team's championship, which, bear in mind, as we headed into, I think, the round 6 or 7, CP Motorsports were well down in the championship standings, P7. So that'll be a fantastic way for them to fight back. But yeah, Riley's clearly got the pace at the moment. I do wonder if Jackson Dean's just maybe not full sending it at the moment at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think he's in management mode, but he's going to have to watch his mirrors, because we've got a stormer from Stuttgart here, right under his rear wing. Where's Shane Adard come from? Ditz here.
Yeah, out of the woodwork, I believe, is the phrase that we tend to use, or out of the garage. I don't know, we need a new phrase for that, I think, but he's appeared from absolutely nowhere, done a bit of a magic trick, and ended up not only in P5, well ahead of Rick Atwell, but also right on the back of Jackson Dean. And the Porsches, I mean, they've been alive today.
Yeah, Stormer from Stuttgart late in the race is not what you want to see in your rear view vision mirror. He looks to have pace, George, so he could create a headache here for Jackson Dean.
Certainly could, and bear in mind, we've had two strategies at the front: start on softs, go to mediums, and then start on mediums, go to softs, and it's all kind of coming back together a little bit for all of them. That's a bit of a cut of the chicane there for Shane Attard. Hopefully that won't lead to a penalty, but doesn't look like he will get a penalty for that. We've got these three here: Shane Attard, Jackson Dean, and then Riley Nicholson. And then just ahead of them, well, there's Rob Jacobs, and look who it is in his front window. Marta Pacheco is being reeled in rapidly by Rob Jacobs. Rob Jacobs goes on the soft tyre, Pacheco on the mediums, and the fronts of those mediums are not in great shape.
No, they're not. So it's going to be a nervous time at the Gridline Garage right now. And, let's look at their recent lap times, George. What did Rob Jacobs do last lap?
Let's have a look.
He's obviously gaining.
Yeah, 2:18.5 last lap, 2:18.0 lap 16. And then, of course, the pit stop laps. Out lap was a 2:38.3, and those softs are being utilised.
Yeah, so Pacheco's obviously not running at that pace at the moment, but he does have track position. So if he can get his elbows out and make that BMW windmill as wide as he can, he might be able to hold up Jacobs here for a bit. And then, of course, Jacobs' tyres are going to, reach the limit of wear, and, that will be advantage back to the medium runner.
That's right. And really, the key here for Mark Pacheco is to somehow hold off the attack through the Kemmel Straight, which I think will be starting this lap. Look how much closer Rob Jacobs is, and he will get a bit of slipstream, even if it's just a whiff at this point, but still running nearly a second faster a lap at the moment than Rob Jacobs. 2:19.6 for Pacheco, 2:18.2 for Rob Jacobs that last lap. So he's really utilizing the tires right now. I think he also knows that for the softs, when the crossover does happen, he needs to be ahead of Pacheco. Then he can defend for the last few minutes of the race. Pacheco, it's the complete opposite. He needs to stay ahead no matter what, so that when the crossover happens, the soft tires will never have a chance to get ahead of him.
And look at the grunt from that BMW, though. The Beamer just stretched its legs down the Kemmel Straight, and I'm aroused, George. That Beamer, it had some grunt there, and the R8, the poor old Audi, just couldn't make any inroads into the Bavarian monster.
That's right. Yeah, no, the Bavarian monster windmill is got some serious legs to it. When it starts to run, it really starts to run. And the top speed is the advantage for it today. We've seen that in a number of battles in Group A and Group B. The R8 does work really nicely when it's got the slipstream, but it's got to be a pretty powerful slipstream right next to it to really find a way past. So all the BMWs really have to do, just hold that inside line, force the car to the outside, as long as they're not too close. They usually have it in the braking zone as well.
Look at it through the second sector here. That R8's really come into its own through the second sector there. The twisty bits of the track, those high-speed, long, grueling corners. He's gained all that he lost down the Kemmel Straight. He's gained it back and then some, and now he's back in threatening range now as we head on into Blanchimont.
Exactly, and the balance of the car is so key through that last couple of sectors. It's high speed, mediums, medium to high speed corners through there, and then the MR cars are really balanced. And when you've got decent tyre wear, which he still is okay on those softs, you find that those MR cars are really, really quick because it's so easy to drive them through those areas, even with the Audi, which loves to kick out the rear. But with worn fronts on a front rear or FR car like the BMW is, yeah, that last sector, not his friend. So he's going to have to try and make his best shot here at La Source to escape the clutches of the R8. Looks like he's done okay this time, but time will tell. I don't think Rob Jacobs is going to be close enough this time, so yet another lap survived. And we are now 5 minutes of racing away from the end of season racing here at the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship at MotorMotion E-Series. And this is where it all happens, where it all comes down to for many of these drivers. These two have been locked in a battle all season long, with Jackson Dean, who eventually pulled out the win in the Pro-Am category. Let's do a quick run through the grid as this battle does continue to heat up. Last to first, Kevin Cooper executing a strategy. We don't quite know what. The gambling machine was rolled, and unfortunately it came up as Snake Eyes, or is that the right one? I'm not sure. I don't gamble personally, but I think that's the one where you don't win. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. Moving rapidly along, Kevin Cooper in last place right now, following Blue Dog in P13. Then it's Aiden Chase, who's had a bit of a race to forget, sadly. Then Jeff Bruin up into P11 on racing softs that may end up being in a very bad situation very soon. Troy Britnell ahead of him in a similar situation, especially with those rears. So these two locked in the battle for the last spot in the top 10. Then Robinson with a penalty, softs that are in a bit of a bad state. Then Bob Massey, similar situation for him, P8, Mad Rick. Rick Atwell in P7, and then it is Mark Hasseldine, whose strategy has not worked out and finds himself off track. Very awkward exit through Bruxelles, and now he's compromised quite significantly. Rick Atwell will be chasing him down. Dirty tyres through Pouon, very awkward place to be. And then back up to the battle that we've been looking at before. Riley Nicholson has fallen behind Sir Dids and Jackson Dean. So the soft tyres just not working out, and Water Arrow has cooked his rears massively. Shane Haddad's come on through, but he's got a penalty. And then Jackson Dean ahead is just going, yeah, you guys do you.
Oh, I think that might have been a glitch there. I think some of the cars are showing a 3-minute penalty over their roof, which of course is incorrect.
Okay, noted on that. I do believe Shane Haddad did serve a penalty there, so that was 0.5 because Riley Nicholson is now ahead of him, and Jackson Dean now under pressure from the CP Motorsports driver once again, but those rears looking so awkward, and the Lamborghini is kicking out the rear here and there. In front, of course, Rob Jacobs and Pacheco. It's on, and this time it's a lot closer, Andrew.
Yeah, it is. They say that in racing, the long corners are for show and the low-speed corners are for dough. And I think that R8 got the better exit out of La Source there, and he's within striking distance. Let's see if he can make a move at some place around the second sector here.
Second sector is going to be key, and potentially Fagner's corners might be the place to do it. We know that Stavelo is a no-go zone. We know that Bruxelles is a no-go zone, generally down the inside line, especially if the car ahead knows you're going to be trying to do an attack, and he's certainly not close enough to do that. I think his best shot's going to be into the Fagner's corners, into Campus in turn 14, where the outside line does open up quite substantially. We see plenty of overtakes at that part of the circuit. The question is, can he get a good enough run through Malmedy? Doesn't look like he can for now, so Pouon is the next corner coming up. Pacheco looks safe through here as well. And look, a little bit of tyre management now from Rob Jacobs. I mean, look at the state of these softs. Whereas Pacheco, if we go on board with him, mediums are in a similar state, but of course they'll be lasting longer. So Rob Jacobs on basically no tyres at all, trying to make an overtake in the high-speed section where he's probably not going to be gaining as much as he once was.
Yeah, but he has made inroads there through Pouon. He carried so much more speed, and he closed right up on Pacheco here, so he's got a chance here down Blanchimont.
Certainly does. Big snap there on the exit of 15 from Rob Jacobs. Doesn't compromise him too much. Here's the real opportunity. He's as close as he's ever been to the back of Mark Pacheco. Rob Jacobs actually does pull ahead. He's got the outside line, and through we go, through Blanchimont, and that is going to be Rob Jacobs into the lead of this race for Hooncorp Esports, looking to take 2 victories through 2 lobbies today and solidify the 2nd place in the team's title. Rob Jacobs on Mark Pacheco, also key for him to secure 2nd place in the Pro-Am category. Lovely move there. He really had the number of Pacheco through 13, 14, 15, and then he executed it beautifully as they ran down Blanchimont.
He certainly did. That was a textbook move. He got such a better exit out of Stavelo. It was all done and dusted. And I tell you what, George, I'm really annoyed. I put my $10 on the nose on Pacheco today. I should have bet him each way.
I think this gambling ring for us is going to lose us a lot of money here in the commentary box, where our predictions have been less than accurate at all times. But nonetheless, Mark Hasseldine, by the way, has come across the line because 50 minutes has elapsed. He will be your your AM class victor today. No one ahead of him apart from Pro-Am drivers. Mad Rick Atwell actually had a very quiet but very good race. Finishes ahead of Bob Massey in the AM category. So great 2nd place there. Bob Massey in P3. Back towards the top of the grid. And whoa, Water Arrow's made a huge error. Keeps it on track through Lacombe, but through goes Shane Attard, and all hopes of a 3rd place finish for Riley Nicholson, drifting into turns 9. Is all evaporated in a few short moments, and Shane Attard will be now staring down the barrel of a P4 finish in Pro-Am. Jackson Dean looking safe, calm and steady as he heads towards a full season victory. Riley Nicholson going for a bit of a spin as well through No Name, and it's all come apart. He doesn't have to worry about anyone behind him. Everyone else is finished, but this has got flashbacks of Lewis Atkinson at Mount Fuji. He's doing the 5,000 point turn in the Shadow Realm right now. Really awkward for Riley Nicholson, and that's an unfortunate way to finish out the last round, especially given how close he was to securing a P3 position today. Jackson Dean will be looking like he's the one to take that home. Don't count out Shane Attard, though. He's still within shooting distance. Pacheco is suffering right now. Doesn't look like he'll lose a position to Jackson Dean. And Rob Jacobs with the beautiful move at Blanchimont, losing Ando money. Rob Jacobs will be the one to come across the line and take the checkered flag as we look at the final few moments of racing in the 2nd season of GT3 Championship here at MotorMotion. There's the final checkered flag of the season. Round 10 is done, and Rob Jacobs takes victory at Spa-Francorchamps, the final race of the season for MotorMotion E-Series and the GT3 Championship. Great race from him. Nearly taken away was 2nd place from Mark Pacheco by Jackson Dean, but does hold on. Jackson Dean will take home P3, and a great race from Shane Attard as well. What a brilliant group bazaar. We love these guys. They've done absolutely fantastic, and what a way to finish a brilliant season of racing here, Ando.
Yeah, what a great finish. Yeah, a little twist, not a massive one, but a little twist there at the end. I'm a bit surprised that Paco there couldn't hold off Rob Jacobs. That corner out of Stavelo there, the cameras just don't quite capture it, do they? We saw it in Group A. We missed a critical moment. And I think we might have missed a critical moment again there in Group B. I think Pacheco must have got a bit of a suboptimal exit out of Stavelo, and Rob Jacobs just cruised past him on the softs, which had a lot of life left in them. So it was job done, game over, see you later. He checked out and he wins by a substantial margin. And Jackson Dean then nearly pulled off a P2. Somehow Pacheco might have had a little whoops into the bus stop or something as well, but he fortunately managed to just hold on and take out P2.
Absolutely stunning stuff. Well, we'll get to the final result of Pro-Am and AM, as well as Elite Pro and the team's title in a few short moments. For now, the final results from round 10 at Spa-Francorchamps are as follows. Rob Jacobs takes the victory in Pro-Am, followed by Mark Pacheco and Jackson Dean. Not going to be enough for Pacheco to get up ahead of Rob Jacobs, and he'll secure 2nd place in the overall title, we believe. Jackson Dean, of course, already mathematically your champion in Pro-Am. Shane Attard comes home in P4, followed by Riley Nicholson. What could have been, but a great showing by Riley through Pro-Am in the few races that he has been here for CP Motorsports has helped his team massively in a charge back through the team's titles field. Then it is Mark Hasseldine who wins AM class today, followed by Rick Atwell for Gridline Racing in P2. Then it's Bob Massey, Super Bob, for Diffusion Race Engineering the AM Class driver, taking home third in his category, followed by Richard Robinson, Troy Britnell, Aidan Chase, Jeff Bruin, Graham Splint. Nearly, I will also say, nearly a top 5 there, but about 5 or 6 positions out for Jeff Bruin. Graham Splint, P6. Kevin Cooper, P7 on the alternative strategy. Jack Vinson, P8 for AM Class. And rounding out the grid with a DNS, Mitchell Collins. Shame not to see him today because he was in a battle in Pro-Am for P5, I believe it was. Right. Ladies and gentlemen in chat, please let me know who your driver of the day is, the final driver of the day calculation. So we absolutely want participation. Get in, let us know who your driver of the day is, who impressed you out there on the circuit today in Group B. Andrew Scott, let's go to you, mate, for your thoughts on what was a very bizarre but also beautiful race here at Spa today for Group B.
It was, mate. Nice and clean. Good to see. I don't think there'll be any incidents out of that one. The stewards, I think, might have a week off here in the last round of the season, and good luck to them. They can head to the bar, I think. But Rob Jacobs for me there with the classic move towards the end of the race there in Stavolo. Well executed strategy once again, and pulls off a victory. So my driver of the day is going to go to him.
There we go. Sorry, say the name again. I was doing 5 things at once. You said Mark Pacheco for the driver of the day, yes?
No, Rob Jacobs, mate. I'd love to give it to Paco and collect my $1,000 at the tote, but no, it's going to be Rob Jacobs for me.
Excellent. Yeah, just teasing you a little bit there towards the end of the commentary box. We'll be cracking open a beer soon here in the commentary box to go through our celebrations and the final ceremony of the season to announce all the winners through all the categories. My driver of the day here, I think I have to agree, Rob Jacobs' well-executed strategy, and that overtake at the end was absolutely key. Did really well, and he lost a lot of positions, bear in mind, early on the race. Ended up in P6 at one point. Fought his way back, so I don't disagree with you at all. I think that's a fair driver of the day vote there for Rob Jacobs for me, so I'm going to throw a driver of the day his way. So 2 votes in there now for Rob Jacobs. Fantastic work by him today.
I'm hearing that Pacheco had a little bit of trouble in his pit stop with the refueling mechanism, and they unfortunately disconnected it early, and he ended up having to be underfueled for his last stint. So he was a bit of a sitting duck there at the end, unfortunately.
Oh, that's really unlucky, and the strategy ups and downs at Gridline Racing, especially with Pacheco, have really cost him some better results. I mean, he has been, I honestly would say, pretty much one of the fastest drivers on the grid throughout the entire season through Pro-Am. So it's a shame to see the strategy sort of not work his way. Nonetheless, that is going to be your results from Group B, and now we get to start working towards the final results of the season. We're going to have some folks in here. For those of you who are jumping into the commentary box, please jump into the lobby. We will continue to move you over there. We'll pull you in when we get the opportunity to do so, but we do have some interviews coming up, specifically with Jeff Bruin later on, but we will be talking about our winners in a few moments' time. Andrew, this is where it gets exciting. I think we pretty much know where things are all going to land, but we're going to jump into it, I think, straight away, because we do have the first 2 interviews all lined up. So getting into our interviews in a few moments' time, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned on the channel. We do want to get some great participation from everyone here, and I will continue to move people down and around. I'll move you guys up when I'm ready to. All right, very eager to get into the interviews, a few of these chaps, for a number of reasons. Let's get into it, because we are now announcing our AM Class winner of the season. Here we go. And it is Mark Hasseldine who takes out the GT3 Bronze Championship AM Class, 438 points to his name, with many first place victories throughout the season. That's 6 to his name, 7 if you count the second part of round 6. Absolutely amazing job from Mark Hasseldine. And if he unmutes himself now, we will be able to have a chat to our AM Class victor, Mark Hasseldine. Welcome into the commentary box. You've got your microphone here. Congratulations on winning AM Class, mate. You must be on top of the world right now.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great stream. yeah, couldn't have done it without Mick Hill, Jackson Dean, and Campbell's help.
Yeah, you've done an absolutely fantastic job this season. And AM class, initially there were some questions around maybe where your position was, whether you were driving more at a pro-am level, but I think unequivocally everyone can say that you had the pace there to win AM class. You had some really good performances all the way throughout the season. The DNF in round 9, probably not ideal. That was a bit of a low point in the season, but other than that, I mean, you haven't been outside that top 3 all season.
Yeah, round 9 was the joys of country internet dropping out. So, but no, like round 1 in practice, we rolled in and Mick Hill rode on board with me for a couple of laps and gave me some tips, and we dropped my time by a second. So his knowledge of the BMW was insane. It's dropped my lap times every track.
Absolutely right. And, you know, overall the season, I mean, you had some great battles there throughout it. There must have been a few times, especially those second place finishes, round 5, the first round of round 6, and then of course the third place in round 7, where you sort of started to realize, okay, there's some really fast guys here, some battles with Troy Britnell as well. It's, you know, and in amongst all of that, you're battling up there with the Pro-Am guys.
You know, to have track position and try and avoid fighting, I always went for the fastest tyre first and got to be a bit of a pest to the Pro-Am guys, which was fun. But whenever we race in the same machinery, Troy Britnell's always beaten me, so it was nice to get one back on him. But I do know it's because the BMW was a bit more user-friendly.
Absolutely. We're going to throw it to Andrew Scott for a few questions as well.
Yeah, Mark, Ando here, mate. I want to ask you about the job of being a team owner and a driver. I know it's too much for some. I'm looking at you, GLR Scotty. So, you know, tell me about that. Is it a bit of a challenge, or does it sort of work out? It comes natural to you.
Oh, well, it was quite easy because like Mick and Jackson were on the ball with the strategy and everything. And so we'd do our own stuff, and then we'd get together on a Monday night for a practice. And then me being the amateur driver down the bottom, well, everything flows down. So I basically offered nothing and just soaked up everything they were giving out.
Oh, good one. So, yeah, obviously with the right people around you, it's not a hard thing to do.
Oh, and Mick's knowledge of the BMW was insane.
Yeah, he likes the car. I know that for sure.
You know, I only asked for it because I'd had a good run in the Porsche, and then when Asta pulled rank and said no one else can use it, I thought the BMW's always been pretty noob friendly, so I'm going to pull that one just purely for me.
There you go. Turns out to be a master stroke. So well done, mate.
Cheers, thanks, Ando.
Absolutely. And of course, Mark, we'll be talking to you a little bit later through the championship ceremony because, of course, you are the team owner of Hassel One Motorsport. So we'll be talking to you a little bit later on. We know that Hassel One secured it in the end. So we'll talk a few more things around the car, the liveries, the culture, and the attitudes and the team and what really made it a success through season 2. But big congratulations on your victory in AM class, mates. Well deserved. Incredible run of form there, as everyone can see on the screen. Big congratulations, and we will talk to you a little bit later.
All right, cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Mark Hasseldine, absolutely fantastic stuff. And we're going to take a little look now at the overall standings for the AM class, and it runs like this. Mark Hasseldine for Hassel One Motorsport on 438 points takes out the championship, followed by Troy Britnell, silver medal for him, and Lightning Motorsport on 315 points. Then it's Aidan Chase for Asta Racing on 270 points, takes that bronze medal and the last spot on the podium. Super Bob in P4 for Diffusion Race Engineering does make it happen at the last round of the season for Diffusion Race Engineering, 257 points to his name. Then Kevin Cooper with the alternative strategies throughout the season for Hooncorp Esports on 237 points. Then it is Rick Atwell for Gridline Racing on 195 points in P6. Great racing from him later in this season, followed by Graham Splint in P7 for CP Motorsports on 112 points. And last but not least, it is Jack Finch in P8 for Black Rose Racing. Ando, we've seen a lot from the AM class this season. So much development amongst all of these drivers. And I have to admit, there's a lot of people that I think we can ping for a Pro-Am drive next season.
Yeah, standout performance there from Mark Hasseltine. I can't believe how many first place finishes I saw there in that little graphic there. He really did dominate. But yeah, I agree. There could be some promotions here on the cards. And, you know, good to see the guys seeing it out through the season and everyone getting better. That's what MotorMotion's all about, bringing on these new drivers and making them better.
That's right. So big congratulations to everyone in the AM class, whether you're first or last. You made it through and you've done an incredible job and provided some incredibly entertaining racing. We hope you all enjoy the spoils of the standings. And nonetheless, we will hopefully see you all back for future racing in MotorMotion E-Series. And now, Andrew, I think it's time to head on over to the Pro-Am winner today. Let's go and check it out. We know who it is. We know what has happened. And it is going to be, of course, Jackson Dean. And Jackson Dean is your GT3 Silver Champion of Pro-Am class. 399 points to his name. 3 race wins and many, many finishes within the top 3. Let's hear from him now. And welcoming in Jackson Dean to the commentary box. And hopefully he'll be able to unmute his mic in a few moments' time. But Jackson Dean, what a season that has been. Fantastic work from yourself all throughout the season. We have talked a couple of times on the grid. You felt like there was a little bit of luck involved in a lot of places, but at the end of the day, consistency has been your weapon of choice. And looks like we're just waiting for the microphone to come live for Jackson Dean. Hopefully we'll hear from him in a few moments' time. Looking through his results, round 1 was a second place finish, round 2 in 4th. Then he had a couple of back-to-back victories in round 3 and 4, which really cemented the idea that he could be on for a win in the championship. 3rd place in round 5, 2 second places in round 6. 7th was 1st. And then, of course, round 8, another first back-to-back. 2 third places in the last rounds because we know that he secured it from round 8. Jackson, do we have your microphone live now?
Oh, what a shame, George. He might be AFK, who knows? But he might be having some technical difficulties. That's the joys of live streaming, isn't it?
That is the joys of live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. We are, of course, live here on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. We're hoping to have a chat with Jackson Dean very, very soon, but for some reason, his microphone is not coming through the server. I'll double-check a couple of settings here in the commentary box to see if there's anything that we can do. Jackson, maybe go and double-check your settings in Discord, which is where we're holding the interviews today, and we'll hopefully have a chat to him very, very soon. But we know, Andrew, that there was a lot of competition, especially up to round 6 for the Silver Championship in Pro-Am.
Yeah, this was a ding-dong battle, wasn't it? He's not at any point put the series away until the very late stages of it. So those couple of times where we had back-to-back first place finishes, those back-to-back wins really were critical, you know, for him and his chances. So well done to him. And I'm just looking at it now, George. He doesn't seem to be muted. Jeff Brune is muted, but he's not. So I don't know if it might be your end.
No, I can't see his little green light around his name lighting up, which means his microphone is not being detected. So he might try going into the user settings, heading to the audio and video area, and you can click the little test button to double check that your mic is being picked up. And that might be the way that we can get things on the road. But yes, Jackson Dean has certainly had some ups and downs. Big battle, of course, with Mark Pacheco and Rob Jacobs. That was the 3-way battle that was going on all season long, and they kept trading blows. It was nearly a win at Bathurst, but then Mark Pacheco started to really gain some traction. Then at Suzuka, it all came unstuck for Mark Pacheco, and Jackson Dean suddenly launches himself back up towards the top end of the podium for a couple of rounds in a row. 2 first-place victories back-to-back a couple of times through the season, really cementing it for him.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed that we're unable to get him in chat because I don't know Jackson that well. And I was going to ask him a couple of questions about his background, how long he's been racing, if he does any other forms of league racing in GT7 or other games, you know, if he's into any other competitive sports. So it's a shame we can't get him in the channel right now. But yeah, there's no doubting he's a talented young fellow who's relatively new to MotorMotion, and he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Absolutely right, and I think he will be a big talking point as we head towards the 2025 season. I think a lot of people, especially with a new name out there, going, okay, this man apparently knows how to design liveries quite well, from what I've heard from a number of people on the grid, and apparently he's quite quick because he's won Pro-Am class. So for the moment, we're going to continue to move through, and we'll go to the final Pro-Am standings for the moment while we figure out what's going on with Jackson Dean's microphone. Let's take a look. And of course, Jackson Dean has taken out the championship on 399 points for Hassel 1 Motorsport in second place. And that second podium spot, Rob Jacobs gets slightly ahead of Mark Pacheco in the final few rounds. And for Cooke Esports puts himself in second place for the Pro-Am standings on 338 points. Then in third place, the bronze medal going to Mark Pacheco for Gridline Racing, 313 points. And what a titanic battle these top three have had all season long, all of them in the 300s of the points. It has been a close battle all the way through. Fantastic work by them all, producing some amazing racing that they will remember for many years. Then it is Shane Attard in P4 for Astor Racing on 198 points, followed by Mitchell Collin for Lightning Motorsport on 170, who was in a battle with Shane Attard, but unfortunately DNSing at the final race puts Shane Attard ahead into that fourth position spot. Then in sixth place, it is Richard Robinson for Black Rose Racing on 152 points. Robert Rice, a show-in for CP Motorsports for a few races, finds himself on 80 points at the end of the season, followed by Jeff Bruin, our glorious leader for Diffusion Race Engineering. He jumped in, he's done a good job, 57 points to his name. And that is how your Pro-Am standings line up for the end of the season. Pro-Am has been wild, Andrew Scott. It's been up and down. We've had three-way battles, four-way battles, six-way battles. It's been brilliant, but Jackson Dean did enough to come out on top.
Yeah, he did. And I think I'm going back, George, to the start of this series. And I think I'm on record of saying that Rob Jacobs was a little bit out of position here, and there might have been a bit of seal clubbing to go on. And Jackson Dean's proved us wrong, hasn't he? So he's got the better of Rob Jacobs, who I still believe should be upper class. So, you know, both himself, Jackson Dean, and Pacheco, I think should be looking at a move to Group A next season.
Absolutely right. And of course, congratulations to everyone who's been in the Pro-Am category this season. It has been ups and downs, left and right. But again, produce some amazing racing, so whether you are first or last, and I'm going to say this a couple more times as well, you've all had some fantastic memories made, and we've seen some fantastic racing throughout this category. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Just going to check on one thing for one quick moment, and we do have a... I think we're okay. I think we're okay here. Yep, I think we're okay. We're not quite sure yet what's happened to Jackson Dean's microphone. And I tell you what we're going to do, Andrew Scott. Do you want to jump over very quickly to the lobby commentary box and just double check, see if we can get Jackson Dean's microphone going? Do that for me for a moment, and we'll see if we can get that going. I think Jeff Bruin's also been trying to help out on that side as well. For the moment, because we are hopefully going to be talking to Jackson Dean. Hello, Jackson. And we're still, unfortunately, getting no reception in from Jackson Dean. Let me double check a couple of things on this side. Once again, hopefully, we're going to get the voice coming through in a few moments' time. No, he's jumped out again. We'll continue to test, but for now, because unfortunately we do not have Mick Hill jumping into the commentary box for an interview, we will be moving now over to the Pro winner. So let's go there now and check it out. And it is Mick Hill, your GT3 Gold Champion in the Pro class. 408 points to his name and seven victories across the season. Mick Hill has done a fantastic job throughout this season on the back of his stint with Cooke Driver Development Team. He is a staple point in MotorMotion E-Series. He's done a great job throughout the entire Pro category, and absolutely well-deserved for him to be taking home a big big victory. So this is massive for Mick Hill. It's a great thing to put on his name. And as we've said before with Andrew Scott, absolutely well-deserved to get himself into an elite category drive for next season.
Sorry, George, I'm just back here with you now.
Yep.
I as instructed, I went into the lobby and couldn't hear Jackson there either. So I think he might be having the microphone issues. But what was your question, mate?
Noted. Yeah, all good. We'll try and figure something out with Jackson Dean. We'll try and figure what else we can do in the background. We were just talking about Mick Hill, who honestly will be getting invites for an elite drive next year. What a drive this season from Mick Hill. Cool, calm, and collected, I think, are the three words that come to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. He's such a cool, calm, collected driver in that he doesn't make mistakes. He plans his races. He executes his strategies to perfection. And I really honestly think he's easily elite level. So we'll see if he gets picked up by someone in that role for their team. Silly season is going to be interesting, to say the least.
Certainly will be. So congratulations, Mick Hill, on the pro category win. Unfortunately, we won't be hearing from him today. So let's move on to the final standings for the pro category. And here we go. Mick Hill, of course, for Hasselone Motorsport, 408 points to his name, 7 victories throughout the category in Group B. Then it is Glenn Mead taking home the silver medal for Gridline Racing on 365 points. Glenn Mead, Bruce the Shark, he's a favourite of ours, the jaw theme going on in the background, and second place, unfortunately not able to take the bite out of Mick Hill that he needed to this season. Jeremy Crow, then we go, Black Rose Racing in third place. Great drive from him for Jeremy Crow, 323 points to his name. Absolutely fantastic work by him. Matt McCullum, late switch in for CP Motorsports on 261 points, finds himself in the P4 position. Luke Stone for Lightning Motorsports finds himself in P5 with 254 points to his name, only 7 points off the back of that P4 spot. What could have been for Luke Stone? Then it is Drew Griffin making a charge late in the piece through the field, and he will find himself in P6 for Astor Racing on 210 points. Then Dean van der Zandt in P7 for Hooncorp Esports on 181 points. Daniel McDonald, last but not least, for Diffusion Race Engineering on 12 points. There is your pro standings, and again, whether you're first or last, absolutely fantastic stuff. Congratulations to everyone in pro category. Ando, this is yet another category that has been absolutely on edge, and when you're driving around those elite drivers, boy oh boy, do you have to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's high stakes at this end of the field. It really is high profile. Anytime you're in the top 5 of Group A, you're going to get a lot of camera time. And, Mick didn't put a foot wrong, did he, at any stage there? So he looked like he belonged there at the top, and that's where he should, stay. And I, for one, am personally really hoping he finds a seat there in the elite category next season. And I'm really keen to see what he can do.
Absolutely right. And of course, a lot of battles throughout the grid there. Drew Griffin is a name that comes to mind over and over and over again. He's also one of our regular viewers on the YouTube channel as well. And, everyone in this grid has been doing a fantastic job. Racing in amongst the elite drivers is not easy. There is a lot of stuff that can go wrong, and you don't want to be getting on the wrong side of an elite driver. Let's put it that way, Ando. Both of us understand how that can work out.
I don't know what you're talking about, George. They're such a lovely bunch of blokes. They're so forgiving and very understanding.
Oh, sorry, I should rephrase. I've gathered the ire of elite drivers in the past, and they're not the nicest guys about it. I'm absolutely kidding.
Start a race in reverse. It's like that's
exactly my point. I was chewed, I was spit out, and I was sent to the grinder for that one, and I will be for all time. That's for sure. Nonetheless, congratulations to everyone in pro category. We will be talking very soon to Lewis Atkinson, who I believe has won elite standings. So let's quickly now chat over. Oh no, we've got a little bit of a problem here with his microphone as well. But nonetheless, let's move over now and talk about the elite category win and the final elite category standings. And it is Lewis Atkinson, your Platinum Championship winner for Elite category. 324 points, only just clear of second and third place there, with a number of victories to his name. In fact, only one victory to his name. So does a bit of a special job here in Elite category. Wins the entire thing with only one win to his name. Elite category, Ando, has been absolutely spectacular. Ups and downs, here's and there's. And if you asked me after round 5 or 6 whether Lewis Atkinson had a shot at the championship, I would have told you no.
No, exactly right. You and I both know how he drives. Very aggressive driver. He's very hard on his tires and fuel, but absolutely lightning quick guy, you know. So, you know, this series, not really the perfect fit for him. But, you know, my hat's off to him, really, because he adapted really well and he came up to speed. He got the memo, obviously, at some point, and he pulled off some really good results in that R8, you know, with some really good fuel saving in particular, but also looking after those rears on the Audi was no mean feat as well. And, you know, he managed to out-strategize some of the cars around him, which is you know, a new feather in his bow that I've seen, you know, for the first time this season.
Yeah, and it's rare for us to see a lot of driver development throughout a season for elite category drivers. We know that they operate already right at the pinnacle of the category, of the game, in fact. So to see the driver development, the switch from this big send it kind of just go for it kind of attitude from Lewis, and then develop the strategy, really start to understand the car and what needs to happen throughout these 50-minute races. That's been absolutely key for him, and that's why he's got those second, third, first, second places all the way through the season. It's those races that are either swung his way with the send it strategy, or certainly through the end of the season, really building back up and developing himself as a driver, which is great to see. It's something we don't see often in elite category.
No, that's right. And to be honest, I mean, I might be a little bit biased because I really, really enjoy the strategy racing, you know, the looking after the tires and the fuel bizzo and all that. Whereas at the elite level, the really, really fast guys in this game, you know, it's not really about that. We see it on all the way up to the World Tour level. Once you get past a certain standard, you know, they make the racing all about pace, all about lap pace, you know, and that's what Lewis has got. He's got that natural ability to be fast, and you know, you're either born with it or you're not. You know, like when teams look for a driver in real world racing, they don't care if they make mistakes or if they, you know, have a big error rate. They know they can teach a guy that, but you can't teach a guy to be fast. You're either fast or you're not in the world of motor racing, and Lewis is definitely one of those kids that's just fast.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, you know, Lewis will continue to develop as well. I do also have a quick request here. Jeff Bruin is in the chat. Could you generate an invite link for Discord and chuck that into the MotorMotion chat? We do have Mick Hill wanting to jump in, but he's not part of the Discord just yet. So let's work to get him in, and then hopefully we'll be able to talk to not only Mick Hill, but also Jackson Dean before we get over to the Teams Championship. And I suspect we're going to be talking to Mark Hasseltine before we get to Mick and to Jackson. Hopefully this time it will work. Nonetheless, let's continue talking.
Get in here, Mick.
Yeah,
I want to hear a 12th man quote from him. If he gets in stream, you should hear this guy's impersonations, mate. He's brilliant.
Okay, we will. We look forward to very much getting in Mick Hill to the stream chat and get him on the microphone, because he is done an incredible job this season. So let's hope we can get him in. Jeff Bruin, please try and get Mick Hill in as much as you possibly can. Mick, just for your information, you should be able to find it on the website and also the Facebook page. Should be a bunch of information about the MotorMotion E-Series Discord channel. And for those of you out there who have not jumped in yet, please do jump on in absolutely worth doing. Jeff is onto it right now. We should be able to have a chat with Mick Hill in a few moments' time. Ando, could you go and double check on Jackson Dean, please? And we'll see if we can get him in as well. And I will run us through the elite category final standings while you're doing that.
Roger that, Wilco.
Righto, ladies and gentlemen, here are your elite standings, the final standings to go through for the Drivers' Championships. And Lewis Atkinson, unfortunately, not able to get his microphone in order for the interview. For Hunkorp Esports, though, 324 points will do it, and he'll take home the gold medal, the top spot in the elite category. The tippy top of the top, he is there, he's done it. Then it's Matt Donetti taking home the silver medal for CP Motorsports, 307 points in the elite category, and oh, so close to that top spot. Keep an eye on him, though. He is seriously quick. Gopi Mahindrajit, Prima GTR for Diffusion Race Engineering, 306 points. 1 point in it to get a silver medal, but he'll have to be satisfied with third place on the podium. Then it is Nick Pfaff in P4 for Asta Racing on 273 points, followed by Nathan Wakefield in P5 for Black Rose Racing on 259 points. Following them, Campbell Knowles, another late shoe-in for Hassel 1 Motorsport, missed a couple of races this season, 182 points to his name, but we know that Campbell Knowles from New Zealand is a quick chap, and he has done very good for the Hassel 1 team. Will also be riding with a gold livery on that BMW for the remainder of this year. Dan Wood comes home in P7, unfortunately not able to make it to the many races that were in the calendar, and replacing Andrew Scott too. Big job, big shoes to fill. We know Dan's got great big feet too, but for Gridline Racing, not the amount of points they wanted to accumulate. But nonetheless, 74 points and P7 in the elite standings. Then it's Chris Duncan for Lightning Motorsport, last but not least in P8 with 49 points to his name. Andrew Scott, you know well how much effort and dedication it takes, as well as skill and talent for the elite category drivers. It is so competitive. There is so much going on, and this is the closest battle we've had throughout all the Drivers' Championships this season.
Yeah, it's definitely, a level at which you have to work on your craft in order to be successful. So the guys that took it out today have obviously done the work. They've got that natural ability, plus they combine that with a little bit of, practice and planning and strategizing, and that is a really good formula to get yourself some really good results at this upper echelon of the league. And my hat's off to them. Well done. I mean, myself personally, due to work commitments, had to pull out early from this season. I would have really liked to have gone toe-to-toe with these guys, but I'm not sure whether I would have been able to keep up. I really have my doubts, because these guys are really, really fast, and, they really, really performed exceptionally well this year. Not just the top of the field, but also down through out the mid-pack and the bottom end. These elite drivers are really a cut above the rest. A personal shout out to Dan Wood. Thank you very much for jumping in to replace me on short notice. Dan himself had some unfortunate clashes. He had some bad weather up there in North Queensland where he lives, so he missed one round due to storms, and he had some work commitments. So poor old Gridline Racing really was let down by their elite level drivers this season, but they'll be back better than ever next season. But just to reiterate, congratulations to the top three. Well done.
Absolutely right. Yeah, congratulations to everyone in elite category. What racing you've put on for us this season. Absolutely fantastic to see. Thank you so much for putting on the great show, and we will hope to see you all back for more GT3, TCR, and Carrera Cup next season as well. Jump on in, keep it going, because you guys are the pinnacle of the sport here at MotorMotion E-Series. Let's now move on to our final category. It is the Team Championship, but we will be talking to Hassel 1 Motorsport and Mark Hasseldean once again. Here we go. And it is Hassel 1 Motorsport who take the Teams Championship in the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship Season 2. Their elite driver Campbell Knowles, pro driver Mick Hill, pro-am driver Jackson Dean, and am driver Mark Hasseldine, who also just happens to be the team owner of Hassel One Motorsport. What a team. They have produced a result in the GT3 Championship that they have been after for so long. Mark, mate, you must be not only very proud of your AM class win, but this must feel even better. Big champagne bottle for the team, right?
Oh, it's great, and especially the fact that we were the last team. We got a mercy vote thrown in at the end. So yeah, very happy.
So let's talk a little bit about one thing: the gold livery at the end. Showboating or well deserved, in your opinion?
Well, I'll leave that up to you because you're the one that made the suggestion in a stream.
Yeah, so I was hoping that wasn't going to backfire on me.
There you go, George. You planted the seed, mate.
I did, but I was hoping that wasn't going to come to light. I've been caught in 4K.
and
they called you bluff.
At the start of the season, because we're both DJR fans, he came up with the white livery, and it was brilliant. So we ran with that, and then he did a black one for the Nürburgring Nordschleife round. And then you made the suggestion about the gold, so he ran with it and came up with that absolute bomb that we ran in the final round.
Yes, and it was a rhetorical question for sure, because it is absolutely deserved. I mean, between all four of the drivers, you've got three drivers championships to your name and the team's title. Only Campbell Knowles not able to clutch the elite victory, but he was, he's had a mix of results and some DNFs through the season. But I mean, what more could you really want from a season of racing? And Hassel One Motorsport, you guys have been on an upward trajectory all of 2024, and you've absolutely hit the pinnacle.
Yeah, we had some results. Matt Dernedy and TCR got our first win, and then I was able to snag one in the Carrera Cup series, but a bit of that is thank you to Ando, because in a practice lobby, he came in and did a race with us. So I saved the replay and then went back and watched what he did, and that helped me improve. And then I ended up snagging the win.
And it's massive, yeah.
Monkey
so, I mean,
monkey do.
Well, I would call it team coordination. It's all about framing, Andrew. But let's talk a little bit about Hassel One Motorsport itself. The culture inside the team must have been excellent. You guys all clearly get along well. Do you think that's contributed to the success this season?
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is the guys, like the quick guys, are willing to share their knowledge and help. So like Jackson, Mick, and even Campbell was willing to help me get quicker. And yeah, it was great. And Mick sharing all his when to shift in the BMW and to save fuel by doing this and be in this gear here. And it just helps so much.
That's absolutely massive. And of course, you've all had different areas of skill. We were talking a little bit earlier how Mick Hill loves to get the empirical evidence about race strategies. You've clearly got someone behind a lot of these strategies. Who do you think's, been the biggest contributor, or has it just been a big team effort all the way through?
Oh, well, we would all do our own little bits and see where we're at, and then Mick would come in and say, well, this is what you should be aiming for. And then, we would go with it. And there was it was up to each and everyone what strategy they wanted to run or what they wanted to do. So whatever suited them. So for me, I'd always go track position.
Yeah, sometimes, Mark, the strategies can be close. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Mick can identify that. He does custom races on his own. Is he still doing that, mate? And he's testing out each strategy to see which one yields the quickest run to the finish line.
Yeah, he'll tell you that you can try and do the two-stopper, but as long as you're doing this is your target lap time, then you'll be, say, 5 seconds quicker overall by doing it that way. Or if you do this and get 10 laps out of your softs before going on to the mediums and saving this much fuel, then you're 15 seconds better off. So, yeah, it's insane the way he does it.
He puts in the work, yeah. So that obviously
Yes.
that obviously pays dividends, to all four of you.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we can go away and we can practice and sort of tweak it to what suits us, because I know I'm a lot rougher on the equipment. So as we saw tonight, I burn through tires a lot quicker than they do. So yeah, you're able to tweak it, but you know in the back of your mind what is going to work. So
Well, it's a fantastic effort that you guys have put on for us. Incredible racing. You've had ups and downs in the team, but boy, oh boy, has it all come together. Mark Hasseltine, all I can say at this point is a massive congratulations to all your drivers and yourself. Of course, being a team owner, you absolutely deserve a massive, massive round of applause from your drivers and from everyone in chat. And of course, us as well. Big congratulations to Hassel One Motorsport. Onward and upward, yeah?
yeah, thank you. And it was a great series put on by Jeff, except for the Nürburgring Nordschleife, but we'll let that slide. We'll let him have a pass mark on that.
I
But,
agree.
and to the sponsors, the brothers, Hazeltine Automotive and Mac 25 Still Detailing, and so I can't get them to come over from Speedway to race online, but I'll keep trying.
Got to keep trying. Absolutely fantastic. So a final congratulations to Hassel One Motorsport. Mark, we're going to keep you in the chat here. We do have confirmation that both Jackson Dean's mic is fixed, and we also have Mick Hill coming into the commentary box, and then we'll have Jeff Bruin. So we'll have a chance to talk, all of you together as a team. But if you hold on for just a moment, maybe go muted. We're going to run through the final team standings and do a full announcement of that, and then we'll bring you all in for a final interview with Mick Hill and Jackson Dean before we head to our glorious leader in Jeff Bruin. So let's go. Final standings for the team championship look like this. And of course, Hassel One Motorsport with over 1,500 points, 1,541 points to be precise. Take out the top spot, gold medal, Hassel One Motorsport on the top of Motorsport in the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship Season 2. Cooke Esports will retain P2 in the season championship, silver medal for them on 1,126 points. What an up and down season they've got, and they've got a lot of potential in that team. Gridline Racing takes home the third spot on the podium. What could have been for a team that had the potential that we saw at the beginning of the season just evaporate ever so slightly towards the end. Still a very, very good result in P3 on 1,076 points. Then it's Astor Racing, P4 on 978 points, holds on to that fourth position. Then CP Motorsports wins the eventual battle between CP Motorsports, Black Rose Racing and Lightning Motorsports, holds on to P5, equal points, but I believe overall better results through the season. We can confirm with Jeff later on. 869 points for CP Motorsports, Black Rose Racing on the exact same number, but will be in P6 for the team standings. Then Lightning Motorsport on 806 points will take home the 7th place spot. And last, but very much not least, Diffusion Race Engineering, the Kiwi team, on 798 points. Nearly clawed back that P7, but unfortunately it just got away from them. Andrew, there's something about the team's championship that just ties everything together. It's not just about the drivers, it's about how you work together. It's about your collective results as the team. This is what makes GT3 Championship so exciting.
Yeah, it's really, the epitome of racing at MotorMotion. To pull off a team's championship is, really the ultimate, I think. And just a side note, to do it 3 times in a row is pretty cool as well. But well done to Hassel One Motorsport. They not only pulled it off, but they dominated along the way, and they wrapped it up with 2 or 3 rounds to go. So really, really good effort from them. Well done to Hoon Corp. They held off Gridline Racing, a valiant but ultimately, failed attempt at getting P2 there. Really hampered by some no-shows and some DNS's Gridline Racing was. So watch out for them to come back better and stronger next season. And then, it was a good battle from 5th there in the end. I'll be interested to hear from Jeff actually how CP Motorsport ended up on top there. It might have been a countback situation, George.
Yeah, I think it is something like that, and we will talk to Jeff Bruin very soon. Now we've got to kind of expedite things a little bit. We've got 2 more interviews to still do, which we rolled in to chats about the drivers. So let's bring the guys in and we will get to these final interviews. And I will have to just slightly mute some of the music we've got going in the background. The celebratory music getting slightly muted for the final couple of interviews. We have to go back to our Pro-Am winner and our Pro winner. Let's bring in both Mick Hill and Jackson Dean. And first off the rank, we do want to talk to our Pro-Am winner, Jackson Dean. Hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully we can hear you. We had a chat about your success this season. It's been absolutely fantastic. 399 points. You wrap it up a couple of races before the end of the season. You told me once that you felt like you had a bit of luck through the season, but cool, calm, collected seems to be your key words.
Yeah, thanks, George. You can hear me.
We can. We've got you. There we go.
Hooray.
Fantastic. Hey, yeah. Yeah,
Right.
what a crazy season it's been, mate. I think I have been extremely lucky throughout the series. I think a few of those other guys, you know, a millimetre less on the throttle here and maybe a button less press there, it could have been a very different series. But yeah, I think there was a lot of luck that came into it.
We did see at the start of the season, round 1, round 2, second and fourth place for those, and it didn't seem like you were necessarily competing for the championship win, but certainly for some race wins. Then suddenly, round 3, 4, 2 first-place victories back to back. Your mindset must have changed slightly at that point, yes?
The mindset was pretty much the same right through, and that was just to take each race as it came and just try to do the best job that I could in each individual race. Round 1 was just a muck up on my part in the pit lane, and round 2 was a recovery drive after being at the back. So yeah, it was just about trying to do the best I could in each individual round and running my own race, really, trying not to get too sucked into everyone else around me and just doing my own thing. And yeah, I got the 2 wins at probably the 2 tracks that I don't like very much at all.
I think that's something that was
Especially
noted in the
Lagos.
commentary. Well, yeah, exactly, and that's exactly the one that I had asked you about once, and you mentioned very specifically Interlagos, hate the place, but you
Yeah.
did incredibly well there. Through the commentary box throughout the entire season, one thing I think we've all noted about your driving is you sticking very much to a plan. You've said, this is my strategy, this is how I'm going to execute it. So what does it take in terms of that mindset to ignore what else is going on? Were you making micro adjustments based on what you were seeing, or was it very much, here's my plan, I'm going to put the shades on, I'm just going to tunnel vision onto that strategy?
Yeah, it's been pretty much the tunnel vision. It's been frustrating because I really wanted to just let rip. That, you know, having to run to numbers all the time has been a new thing for me to adapt to in this series. And it's a bit hard to run on the fly because I use a VR system. I don't have a lot of information in front of me when I'm racing. It's only in the pit stops can I actually see who's who and where they are on the track. And so yeah, I've really had to be very single-minded as to my driving and just running my own race and head down, backside up, and just running my own numbers and hopefully, you know, getting the result at the end.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, the fact that you're on VR as well, I mean, makes a big difference as well. So we'll throw it over to Andrew Scott for some questions because I know he's chomping at the bit to talk to you.
Yeah, Jackson, mate, congrats, mate. Well done on your win. And we don't know each other that well, but I do know that you're relatively new to MotorMotion. But I'm really curious to find out what your background is. And do you have any background previously in other leagues or other forms of sim racing or any other competitive sports for that matter? And also, what sort of equipment are you on? Like we've heard about the VR headset, but what wheel, etc.?
Yeah, thanks, Ando. Background's been quite limited. I've basically just been slumming it in the dailies for a fair while. I had a big break there for probably about 9-10 months, and came back and threw myself into the Carrera Cup, and basically had to relearn everything again there, and then into this series. So this is really the first league series that I've raced. So it's been a bit of a shock to be as successful as I have, to be honest with you. As for the equipment that I'm using, I'm just running on a Fanatec DD Pro system here, and yeah, it's pretty basic. I haven't even really adjusted the internal settings on it yet. So that's something I need to look at as well.
Wow. Oh, well, that's really impressive that you've gotten the results you've been able to achieve with with limited experience in league racing. But I think your story is fairly common. We all take a break, or we've all taken a break, been a bit jaded with dailies, but then we discover this whole subculture out there of these leagues that exist out there in GT7 or the Gran Turismo franchise, and it breathes new life into your vigor and enthusiasm for the game. Would that be true to say about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I do a bit of racing in real life as well, and sort of this was just a way to tune my senses and try to really make sure that I kept my my temperament cool on the track in real life. So, running the dailies was a good way to make sure that I checked my head when things went awry, and just really trying to minimise any mistakes on track. And yeah, I think that's worked well for me this season too.
Yeah, wow, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sorry, one more question, Jeff. I mean, so you do some door banging in real life, is that correct?
Literally door banging. I raced a little bit of rallycross, so it is literally door banging.
Right.
Whether
Okay.
it's with a tyre barrier or another car on track, but it's just
Right.
just a bit of fun.
So you've seen a few bold moves before in your time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
wow.
Yeah, and
Well,
and done a few myself as well.
of course, you got to give as good as you get, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you've got that natural ability or that background. So do you think that, one last question, apologies, George, but do you think sim racing and the rallycross you do, they have a bit in common? Do you think they help each other?
Oh, it's chalk and cheese, Ando. It really is. There's so much more in real life racing to take into consideration when you're out on track, and it's easy to go hard in sim racing when there's nothing on the line, but when you're doing it for real, you're actually in the car, and if things go wrong,
Yeah, it
could
hurts.
be pretty
Yeah.
bad. So I think a bit of my conservative approach to my sim racing is just a carryover from what I do on track, and I haven't sort of developed that fearlessness in sim racing yet.
Yeah, fair enough. But from a personal perspective, mate, welcome to MotorMotion. It's nice to finally meet you and talk to you, and congrats on your win.
Thank you so much, Enda. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Congratulations. Jackson Dean wins the Pro-Am category in Season 2 of the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship here. Massive congratulations, and we will be talking to you more, I think, because we're going to talk to all of you guys at Hassel One, bar, of course, Campbell Knowles, who's not going to be, unfortunately, in the interview box, but we'll talk to you all soon. First of all, we want to talk to our pro winner, and that, of course, is Mick Hill. He is finally in the Discord. It's excellent. Mick Hill, big congratulations, mate. 408 points. You've got yourself, I believe, 7 victories across the pro category, across 10 rounds. You have really done it. Congratulations, mate, and welcome into the commentary box.
Thanks, Cookie. Thanks for the kind words. And Ando, how are you, pal?
Good, mate. Cookie, where are you?
Cookie.
Yeah, I was hoping that nickname would never really catch on, but apparently it has. Okay, time to double down. All right. Questions from Cookie then.
To say dunno.
I've got the cookie cutter questions as well, because that's my job. All right, Mick, we know you've been part of Me Cougar driver development. We know your success and your skills because of the TCR Cup. How does it feel jumping into the GT3 class? How has it been in Hassel One Motorsport, and how has the season come together for you?
Yeah, it's been a pretty cool experience. I guess it's the first time I've raced in their GT3 championship. Little bit different when you have to sort of pre-qualify and you get thrown to the wolves and get picked up by a team, but I'm not too heavy on the socials. I work 2 jobs, got a disabled partner to look after, and yeah, it's sometimes it's kind of hard to get in and do the work that's required. But I got thrown an invite to join. I think there was a couple of teams at the point, but Mark got in first, or I think it was the way it unfolded, and sort of made myself a home here. And I've raced against Mark before in other categories, and granted we were on different teams, but at least I had at least one familiar name or face, not really a face, but a name that I could sort of chat to and whatever, and get to know the rest of the boys, and getting to meet them for the first time, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, and obviously it takes a lot of work to do what you do. We've heard a lot from Ando and Mark Hasseldine about how you're very focus on the empirical data. You're the one there saying, oh no, you're 15 seconds out here or there if you do this, if you do that. I mean, it takes a lot of effort to do that behind the scenes, and you do sound like a busy man. Though, so the effort is incredible that you put into this, and the result absolutely well deserved. How does it feel now coming through what you've been through with Andrew Scott? I'm so sorry about that, by the way. And then developing all the way through. No, I can imagine. Yeah, developing all the way through the seasons, getting victories. Hey, you'll have your turn soon, Andrew.
Sorry.
And then getting to this point, which at the moment I guess is a pinnacle, may not be the top heights that you're aiming for, or maybe you consider other victories to be more significant, but pro category victory, you've been driving it amongst the elite category drivers as well and beating a lot of them too. This is absolutely fantastic. You must be feeling good about this one.
Yeah, look, I don't. I think I'm beating the elite drivers not because I'm quicker than them, but because they've had mishaps. Yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky, to be fair. But I have learnt a bit under Ando, and like he said, let's work as a team, please, but do it his way. And you never trust a bloke with two first names, but here we are, and here we are. But if before when you said about not really having a pinnacle win or whatever, I think what sort of I did have a few. I did have a few results not go my way. I did have a bit of a health issue there. I think second or third round. But this is sort of my first season back in any form, because when Gran Turismo did that massive update where they changed all the physics and the tyres and all that, I was actually out with an operation. I had my gallbladder removed, so I was out for quite a while. So this was a lot of people had time to sort of adapt to the new physics, and I didn't. And this was my first season in, so a lot of people that I was racing against had a head start on the new physics and all that. So I had to sort of relearn everything from scratch again, similar to what Jackson was just talking about before. And it wasn't until I sort of didn't. I won the first race. I didn't think I did that great in the second round. I think maybe the third round I had DNF. So I was pushing shit uphill just to try and get a decent result. And I don't think it was until, I think it was Interlagos, where I qualified last in the whole lobby. But I won my category. And that's when I'm like, okay, something could happen here. But even still, I thought winning the championship was a bit too far-fetched. Maybe third could have been on the table for me. One of my good mates, Brucey, Glenn Mead, I was sort of barracking for him to sort of win our championship, because I've known, that's not a blight on anyone else. That's just because I know Glenn. And it wasn't until I think the second or second last round or something, and Bruce, he's, mate, you're actually winning the championship. And I'm like, nah, there's got to be a mistake there somewhere, because I was like fourth position and quite a ways off first position. So I didn't think that was achievable, to be honest.
Well, you had the big shark, so to speak, hot on your heels. But yeah, at the end of the day, you did come out on top. So congratulations. And now I'll throw you into the jaws of Ando Scott for his interview.
Mate, I was going to ask you for your favourite wide water sports quote, but I'll leave that. I'll leave you to dwell on that. But let me ask you this, Paul. Yeah. Let me ask you this. And if that canary shits on my scorecard one more time, it's but let me ask you this, Mick. You and I have some history. We work well together. You've found yourself a home in Hassel 1. You guys there obviously work well together. So I'm going to ask you this. What would you rather? Would you rather be on the fastest team, or would you rather be on a team with chemistry?
Both.
Right. Okay.
I think
we can't be on me, Cougar, mate. Come on.
No, well, we do have a bit of chemistry as well. So we might not be the fastest every time, but as long as you can sort of work together and to try and achieve a common result, I think that speaks volumes in the chemistry in the team, and the results will come. As you know, with your job, you could be on the other side of the planet, and as we used to do, I'd get and do the hard yards. So by the time you come back, I've got some data for you, and we can analyse it and go from there, and away we go. Similar thing with these guys. I know Mark is self-employed. Jackson, he's flat stick. doing other stuff. And with our elite drivers, we've actually had two, because one guy had to pull out, and another guy joined, and our result. They also contributed to our result also.
Yeah, so it's not maybe not so much chemistry, but good synergy at least. You need a team
absolutely.
where everyone's contributing, don't you? Otherwise,
Absolutely, yeah.
That was more to my point. Like, if everyone's not contributing, if you're not communicating as a team, then you're really up against it. You can have 4 really fast guys, but if you're not sharing stuff and communicating and practicing together, it can be all for naught. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. But me personally, like, I like to do what I can where I can, and I like to help people get better. I haven't been doing this for very long. I've only been sim racing for 18 months or 2 years. I haven't been doing it for nearly half as long as some of the people that I'm racing with and against. So in relative terms, I'm quite new to this myself, though I have done stuff outside in the real world. But
tell us what gear you're running on, Mick. Like, have you gone whole hog by any chance and all out on your rig?
I sort of did, and it was sort of forced upon me, thanks to the missus and whatever, because I procrastinate. When you've got a partner that's disabled and you've got 3 kids, you sort of sacrifice your own wants and needs for the greater good of the family and make sure that they've got everything they want. And before this whole debacle with Fanatec and the Black Friday sales, it was the Black Friday before all that is when I got my gear. So I only and then it sort of went on from there. But I have a track racer TRX rig, and I ended up with the DD1 F1 wheelbase and stuff, but that was only because the one that I wanted had already sold out from the Black Friday sales. So Fanatec actually bundled the Podium F1 thing with some pedals, and it was a really, really good price, and it was sold out in the other regions, and it was only a matter of time before other people around the world were going to come and buy the stock from Australia. So I jumped on it real quick. So I was sort of forced to sort of get it, and I'm glad I did.
That's some serious hardware you got there, mate.
All the gear.
To do yourself an injury almost.
All the gear and no idea. But I try and make it work the best I can, and I seem to go all right. But look, I'm by no means am I the fastest, but I like to try and, if I can work out a strategy here and there that works for me, and I'll share it with other people, especially those in my team, and if they use it or not, that's up to them. But here we are.
I think that right there embodies the definition of a driver champion and a team's champion right there. It's not necessarily about how fast you are out on track. It's how smart you are as a racer, as a strategist, and then how much you share with your team. We've seen examples of that with other teams throughout the years where the sharing hasn't been there. And I think at the end of the day, when you're all bouncing off each other, you've all got some similarities to bounce off as well, where the culture's good and you're all there to share information, and then each with your own advantages and disadvantages, taking advantage of those out on track and working together. This is why I think Hasselone really has walked away with 3 driver championships and the team championships as well. So while we round out the interview with you, Mick, another congratulations. I want to bring back in Jackson and Mark, so please unmute yourselves, chaps, because now we get to all talk together with you guys as the team. The MotorMotion E-Series rapidly turning into the Hasselone Motorsports show. But I think it's actually very appropriate given the domination throughout the season. So, Mick, Jackson, Mark, massive congratulations to you, and also to your elite drivers as well. Of course, we don't have Campbell Knowles in here today, but you guys have been the staple point of the team all the way throughout. Congratulations to all 3 of you, all four of you.
Thanks.
Really, it's 5 of us.
It really is.
5
that's
of
right.
us, definitely.
Yeah, we've had 2 elite drivers, and it's just unfortunate that Apex couldn't continue through. He had other things to do, but we're thankful that Campbell got to jump on board. And there was a bit of a time difference because he's a Kiwi as well, and at times it was hard for him to get on and contribute. But he did what he could where he could, and his points still went towards the team championship. So we're thankful for that.
It all matters. And so
I'll just add to that too, that when Campbell came on, he hadn't done much racing. He'd had quite a large hiatus. And then to jump into the cauldron of the elite class and to do what he's done with no prep. And, he's just kept turning up week after week, putting in the hard yards and just plugging away, getting points for the team. Kudos to him. And he's just proved he's gotten better and better as the season's gone on. And look out next season.
Yeah, fair call.
Yeah, Mark.
well said.
Yeah. So, Mark, with the two elite drivers in there, was there any worry internally that where are we going to find an elite driver? Who's going to come in? Like, that's tricky for a teamo to deal with, especially midway through the season.
Yeah, well, I put the offer out on the Facebook page if anyone was keen, and Campbell messaged me straight away and said, I haven't played in a long time and it fits in with my FIFA commitment, so I'll have a crack. So, yeah.
So you took a punt, mate?
Yeah. And notice from the other teams that getting all the drivers on the grid every week is a real struggle. So I think that helped us that everyone was there every week.
Yeah, and this is in amongst as well Campbell Knowles being involved in the New Zealand Esports Racing Series, of which I was commentating for as well, so I got to know him a little bit through there. Great guy, really quick driver, and yeah, I mean, he's had that hiatus and he's brought himself back up to speed and juggling multiple leagues. He's kind of thrown himself full send into multiple things at the same time, and it's really good that he's been able to contribute in the way he has. I do want to ask you guys, best moment in the Hassel 1 garage, what was it? Was it the winning of the championship? Was there a moment that you guys are all going to take away as like the big memory of this season?
I'll let you guys go first.
Oh, for me, going into it, we just said, look, if we can finish in the top 4, that'll be well done for the season. But to come away from round 1 with a massive lead, that was it for me. It was like, holy shit, we can win this whole thing. That was a realization that, yeah, we could be on here.
Yeah, I sort of got to second that. No, you go, Jackson. You go.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was just going to say, for me, the highlight of the season was definitely getting the team's championship, and not only for us, but specifically for Mark. At the beginning of the season, we were just, we'll give it a crack and we'll see where we go, and we just plugged away one race at a time, and to get to about round 4, round 5, and going, we really do have a crack at this, and heads down, backsides up, and going, and I'm just stoked that for Mark, really. I couldn't thank him enough for bringing me into this team. I was struggling to get a drive anywhere when Mark offered me the lifeline. So to repay that and to get this team's championship for him, that was definitely my highlight. And then everything else was just the cherry on top, really.
Yeah, I sort of got to agree with that. For a while there, I didn't even think I was in contention to win the Drivers' Championship. So I was just trying to do what I could to contribute to the team's championship, and to come away with that is pretty astounding. The way we did it, the margin that we had. Granted, maybe some other teams weren't filling drivers every week, which I guess is a testament to our team.
Yeah.
I've been quite thankful in my time in MotorMotion that I've been in 2 teams, and in either individually as a team effort, I've been on the top step every single time. So I'm quite thankful for that. But I don't know if I have a specific part that stands out from a team's perspective over anything. I sort of got to agree with Jackson that I think it's the whole lot. I think it's the outcome. We got what we deserved, I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And a huge, massive congratulations to all of you, all 5 of you, for what's been an incredible season. And we here in the commentary box have absolutely loved commentating on it, watching your successes and watching what's been happening out on track. It's been absolutely brilliant. And I think someone else who has really enjoyed it has been Jeff Bruin, who we're going to bring into the conversation now. Jeff, get yourself unmuted. I'm sure you've got a few things to say here. We'll talk about 2025 and MotorMotion in a little bit, but I think first of all, you might have a few things to say to the guys.
Good evening, George. I hope everyone is well. Look, I guess the first thing I want to say is that we should not underestimate the significance of the championship that is the GT3 competition here. Is the premier series of MotorMotion. We aim to have the best of the best in this series, and we run it as such. So any, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Any success in this championship, right, is based on pure skill in the driving capacity of that sim racer. So what I want to say is, based on that, as a series organizer, is I want to thank all the teams that participated. It is a restricted entry. You are invited to participate in the GT3 Championship by getting a level 1 RCA, which is not handed out. So every team deserved to be here. So I want to thank all the teams. I want to thank all the drivers that participated, because you racing is what fulfills what we do here. And, we do this all for free. From the series organisation to the league running to the broadcasting is all done for free. And I think sometimes that's lost on people.
Hey,
and
Jeff,
I want
didn't
to
you get
thank
my invoice?
everyone in relation
Sorry,
to that.
sorry.
Must have hit a bird, Endo.
Yeah, sorry.
And
Jeff.
I want to congratulate Hassel One Motorsport. You've been the exemplar of a team this year or this season, and I am suitably impressed by your performance from every one of the drivers. And I also want to congratulate the drivers, Mark Hasseldine, Lewis Atkinson, Jackson Dean, and Mick Hill, on winning your respective divisions. It's not an easy task, and you've done it via commitment and skill, and I appreciate your efforts from my behalf as a series organizer and MotorMotion as a whole. So that's me.
Here.
Thanks, George.
Thanks,
Here,
Jeff.
here. Thanks, Jeff.
Cheers.
We'll
Thanks,
talk more
Jeff.
to you, Jeff, in a few moments' time. Mick, Jackson, Mark, thank you so much for giving up your time tonight to come and talk to us. We've gotten some great insights into the mentality at Hassel One, and we can tell how much this has meant to you guys. I think a final congratulations from all of us here on the series organization side and the broadcasting team. Well done. Enjoy the rest of 2024, and we want to see you. We need to see you all back in 2025 for what we have next. We're going to let you go now. Some final words from you guys, but thank you all so much. Yep.
Just before I go, mate, I really want to thank both yourself, Andrew, and Nick for your commitment this season. It's just been brilliant watching the streams come back. It's you guys really set the bar very high in what you do, and it's just brilliant to watch. And another big thanks to the guys in MotorMotion, to Jeff and Scott and Dylan. Just a brilliant series. It's just so easy to be part of because everything just runs like clockwork. So, huge thank you to you guys. You really make it what it is.
Yeah, I've got to second that too. I like watching the stream where I can, and I've been a part of MotorMotion for a little while now, and you always hear Cookie's voice. It's always there. Dude, you're fantastic at what you do. I think the stream this year, it just gets better and better and better. Like the way that you guys had the graphics and all that set up this year, and Ando chiming in, especially there at Big Willow in Ando's dugout. Crowd surfing up in the back
Budweiser
there.
balcony, mate. I'm on the balcony, yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I see in the crowd getting, down the sidelines there, not necessarily just there, but at any track, you're crowd surfing and shit, and you're getting it on, and Spud and up in the commentary box. But the bloke that really sort of holds the fort and really nails it down is Cookie. You're fantastic at what you do, man. Like, I hope you stick around. I hope you're around forever.
Thank you.
And also from a league perspective, it'd be remiss to not mention any of the competitors that we race against, not just in my lobbies, but in the other lobbies as well. You know, we weren't the only ones showing up; they showed up too, and I'm sure they did their best, like we did. What we're talking about now is the sum of all parts, and everyone contributed. So, to everyone that did contribute and did participate in this season, even if it was only for one race, thank you to everyone that had a crack.
Yeah, well said, Mick. I definitely second that. It's it wouldn't be anywhere near as what it is without the respect that everyone shows on track. And it's been some humdinger of racing out there this season, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And hats off to everyone involved.
Mate, there's some bloody aliens out there, but I tell you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
That Gopi's quick, man.
He's a quick guy. That's right.
But I tell you what, in saying that though, like for congratulations to Lewis, because what I just said, then Gopi is quick. And then you got Matt Donetti as well, Lewis Atkinson, Captain Snooze, man. I come across him a fair few times throughout the season on track, man. Some of these guys are fucking quick, man. Like it's been so much fun to mix it with the guys in the upper echelon. Like you learn a bit.
Certainly do. And they are super, super quick. I mean, that's the great thing about the format in GT3 Championship. You get to mix it with the class above and get a chance to get up there too. Mick, Jackson, Mark, thank you all so much for your time here today. Feel free to remain in the commentary box and listen in, or jump back on the stream. Big final congratulations to you all. Thank you for the kind words. We're going to have a little chat with Jeff Bruin now and talk a little bit about this season and 2025. But thank you all so much.
Thanks, Cookie. Thanks, Ando.
Cheers, thanks, mate. Where's that wide world of sports quote, mate? What's your favourite one?
Which one? I don't know.
Give us your best, Tony Gregg.
Which one do you want?
Maybe we'll save it. We'll save it for next time, maybe.
I've put him on the spot.
Can't park your car there.
Great stuff.
I don't hold a grudge. It's where you park your car.
Great stuff.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more on that one.
Oh, there we go. There's Richie.
That's great stuff. Andrew was talking you up, Mick, and you've certainly lived up to the expectations. We might have to get you into the commentary box as well to do some impressions.
Exactly.
I think that might be something we do.
You guys are natural.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic.
I'll boot up. I'll lace up. No problem. Let me know when you're ready.
We love it. Thanks, Mick. Really appreciate it. Let's bring Jeff back into the conversation now. Jeff, mate, okay, well, we've got a lot to cover. I think you've said your piece for the most part, but, I mean, let's look back a little bit first. Season 1, 2023, first time we run the GT3 Championship. It is absolutely brilliant, and we get some of the best racing we've seen on the Gran Turismo 7 platform in Oceania, hands down. And yes, I'm a little bit biased, but I also commentate on a lot of leagues, so I think I know what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, you move into Season 2. The format changes ever so slightly. People are loving it, mate. So give us a little summary. 2024, how's it been? I mean, you've been doing so much work in the background. It's a struggle for time. It always is as an administrator. But Jackson Dean, I think, said it best there. You guys do such good work in the background to make this a smooth operation. And that really is something very unique to MotorMotion.
Yeah, look, I think from our perspective, especially as the
we've just had Jeff mute. Jeff, please unmute your mic.
I'm back. I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, it's. I guess the word I'm trying to look for here is there's love for it. We based MotorMotion on this series in 2023, and in 2024 it was about evolving it into even a better a competition. And there's always room for improvement, but what I've seen with the engagement from the drivers and the teams has been fantastic this year, and I think it's shown great racing. And it's provided the spectacle that it should as the premier series of MotorMotion. So there are new things in the works for 2025, minor tweaks, but I've been happy with how the series has run this year.
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, I mean, Andrew Scott, I'll throw it to you for questions after this one. We're going to talk a little bit about 2025. We can't say too much at the moment, as I understand it, but we do know that GT3 Championship will return.
It will. Like I said, it's the premier series for MotorMotion. It's what we based the league on when we first formed it in the back end of 2022. So there will definitely be a season 3 next year, and it will be announced. But we have some other exciting things that are coming on board as well for MotorMotion next year.
Yeah, let's get to Ando for a couple of questions as well.
Yeah, Jeff, that's really exciting to hear that you've got some big plans next year. But what I wanted to ask you about, mate, was might be a bit of a personal question, but as one of the 3 stakeholders in this league, you guys are the owners essentially of the league. The amount of work you do in the background, I don't think a lot of people understand really. A lot of the drivers even understand what goes on in the background, and I'd like to know, I'd like you to let us know, what is actually going on there when it comes to things like, rule changes and rule books and graphics and promotions and calendar development and stewarding departments and all that. Like, how much time does this endeavor take up in your week, so to speak? Like, what are we talking about?
Andrew, that is a fantastic question. And I think that's something that's underestimated by a lot of people. Where do I begin? The
It's not an
organization,
easy
the
task, is it?
regulations. Sorry?
It's not an easy task, is it? It's not
No, not at
easy
all.
to
And
start
look,
and then keep a league like this going, is it?
no, absolutely. From forming the regulations that underpin a series to getting broadcasters on board who do this out of their own free time, as you guys know, to the stewards who do a really thankless job in determining
Handing out paddlings.
incidences and stuff that occur, right? And then the graphics. Dylan is massive on the graphics and the socials that we push out, and Scott behind the scenes in relation to running TCR and the point system and stuff. There is so much that we do in our own time that's nearly a full-time job, and I've had to step back from actually racing personally, which I love sim racing myself and trying to develop that craft, to running the league.
Yeah, because you can't do it all. Yeah, if you want to stay happily married, you
No, well, that's right. And my
you can't
job
do it
this
all.
year has
Yeah.
become exponentially busy. So I've committed to being able to run GT3. But your point is, it takes a lot of time and effort behind the scenes, which everyone does for free. And that is to provide an experience for people outside the initial GT7 experience, to enhance something they enjoy, and we get enjoyment from seeing them take part in that.
I think that's massive.
Yeah, nice.
I think that's a massive thing here, because we all know through the history of gaming that it's the people, the community around a game that continues to breathe life in it. You can run through the dailies, you can do the championships, you can do the offline content, you can do all of that. You can even go online racing into random lobbies, but there really is nothing quite like league racing when you've got rule sets around it, when you've got structure, when you've got broadcast, when you've got all of these things coming together. And what we really do, I mean, let's be honest here, with games, it's about engaging in something that we can't necessarily do in real life. Then to bring that immersion, we bring, that's what you do there as an administrator. You are crafting MotorMotion E-Series to bring an immersive experience to this fantastic game.
And look, if I'm honest, it's not for everybody, right? What we do at MotorMotion, we hold a bit of a higher standard that when people come in and race, they know they're racing against the best that can be in that class. So if you're successful here, you've done a fantastic job, which is why my hats are off to the winners on the GT3 Championship. For in the MotorMotion ecosphere, they are the best of their division.
Yeah, that's right. And it takes a lot of dedication and effort to get to that point. And you know, I think it's
100%.
really good to have the viewers today as well. By the way, thank you for everyone for staying tuned on the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube channel. It is good for everyone to hear the amount of effort and passion that goes into running a league, because at the end of the day, when you're doing this for free, you really inject into it what you want from a league, how you would want to have a league run around you.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah, I think the key word there, George, is structure. I mean, we could all just sit here and do multiplayer lobbies, racing online anonymously, and racing Wreckfest style, and getting good times in the time trials and the dailies, and being up there on the leaderboards and whatnot. But that's fairly one dimensional, like what MotorMotion, does so well is it brings that realism and structure to this whole endeavor of sim racing, and it really adds layers to the immersion, and it makes it really, really, a worthwhile thing to do, and to really get sort of, well, I'm going to say it, obsessed with, because that's what, since COVID, that's what I've become, sort of obsessed with this, not just this game, but this endeavor of league racing. And it really is a bit of a subculture. It's a bit of a community of people that are like-minded, and they're really cool people. And I really enjoy, hanging out with them, and and sharing intel with them, and being involved with them, like yourself, George and Jeff. I wouldn't have met you guys otherwise if it wasn't for this endeavor that we all have. So, we've become good friends, and it's really a really cool pastime. And my hat's off to you guys, for it really is a team effort to bring a league like MotorMotion together, isn't it?
Oh, and look, and I would say from my perspective, right? So Dylan, Scott, and I are co-owners, right? However, it takes a village to actually get this endeavor off the ground, and it's people like you who help in the background. There's people that help with our photographs. There's people that have volunteered to conduct other stuff that help this get out to everybody who wants to take part. So I, from my perspective and from the other co-owners, thank every one of you, each and every one of you, for what you do in support of MotorMotion E-Series. So thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, we have to mention as well Player One Sim Gear, who have been a sponsor
Yes.
now for 2 years running. And it's just awesome what they do and what they bring to our league as well.
Yeah, I have to say,
and I'd like to thank Neil from Player One Sim Gear. He has helped a lot of our racers out with stuff that they want to purchase or get advice on, and they fully support our endeavor in GT7. And yeah, thank you, Player One Sim Gear.
Yeah, I want to add to that +1 from Ando, because I've bought a lot of gear from Player One, and Neil on the phone is always really generous with his time. He gives advice, not even when there's any money on the line for him. He's got no skin in the game whatsoever, but he always gives me his time. And I think I spoke to him for about 30 minutes the other day, and all I bought from him was a pair of gloves for $30. So, and he told me all about bloody, Fanatec and DD pluses and all this sort of stuff. So, Player One Sim Gear, I really, really can vouch for personally, and a big thank you to them for sponsoring MotorMotion.
Yeah. So, on that note, I don't even know where to end, because this has been a fantastic bit of interview here with Mick, with Jackson, with Mark. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get Lewis on the phone today. Jeff, and of course, Andrew. It is gutting not to have my fellow commentator, Nick Pautasso, in the box, but I'm sure he's watching on from wherever he is in the world, and hopefully enjoying the
Hakuna
broadcast
Matata.
as well. Hakuna Matata, indeed. It's the philosophy.
Hey, Cookie.
Go
Where
right
are ya?
ahead.
Okay. I want to thank you, and I thank Nick, and I want to thank Andrew, because what you do here for this league is above and beyond, and is what makes us one of the most unique leagues within the GT7 world. So sincerely, from the three of us as the co-owners, we thank you three for what you bring to everybody via YouTube every week when you broadcast.
It's been a genuine privilege and a pleasure. And as a quick personal note on this one, for those of you who don't know my history in commentary, well, I do have to thank Andrew Scott a little bit, that's for sure. But he got me involved here at MotorMotion, got on board with Jeff and Scott and Dylan, and we have just had a great time. And the racing here makes it worth giving time to the broadcast. And of course, to everyone who is watching out there in youtube.com land, thank you all so much for your viewership. It is much appreciated. But genuinely, we really do believe here that a good broadcast just absolutely helps to tie everything together. And you can't have good commentary when you don't have good racing. So as much as we appreciate the thanks to everyone, you've got to pat yourself on the back. You've got to have a good, well-run league. You've got to have good admins and good stewards. You've got to have good artists and graphic designers. You've got to have great drivers and great teams and a great structure. It's exactly what you have here at MotorMotion E-Series. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Jeff Bruin, first of all. Thank you to the admin team at MotorMotion. You guys have done an incredible job and have a well-deserved break. And we are so eager and so keen to hear what is going to be on the cards in 2025 for MotorMotion E-Series. But for now, that is going to be our final broadcast of 2024. A huge congratulations to all the winners of all the Drivers' Championships. And of course, our team's champion of the Player One Sim Gear GT3 Championship, Hassel One Motorsport. My name has been George Cooke. It will continue to be George Cooke as well, but my name is George Cooke. Thank you to Andrew Scott, to Nick Pautasso, to Jeff, and to everyone who's participated in the background. You're all fantastic, and I believe we will leave it there. Thank you all so much.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Have a happy holidays. Happy New Year. See you in 2025 for MotorMotion E-Series. Goodbye. And away we go here at the cloudy Nürburgring GP. Everyone being cautious, they know it's a long race. Still 21 laps to go. So we just started the race and already we're seeing so much action on track.